More from Matt Lockwood.
The electronic sign saying busway no entry has been installed at the New Bedford Road entrance.
And Cambridgeshire could be run by one force HQ to save millions of pounds, the BBC has learned. It's understood the centre for the three could be based at Huntingdon, the headquarters of Cambridgeshire Police. Combining the three could save up to £7 million. The plan was due to be made public in April. Malaysia Airlines says the focus for the search for the passenger plane, which went missing over the weekend, has now moved to the west coast of the country. The flight, with 239 people on board, vanished as it flew from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Jim Hall is a former air accident investigator.
Unless you have a ship that goes over the site where the accident is with the proper listening equipment, it's very difficult to find the location of the accident from the emergency locating transmitter system.
MPs will vote on a controversial measure this afternoon, which would give the Health Secretary greater powers to close local hospital services. Labour claims that Bedford and Milton Keynes hospitals would be placed at risk. Multi-million-pound improvements to the M1 at Junction 10 mean a new contraflow system comes into force this morning. The new traffic management system on the M1 Spur Road between Junctions 10 and 10A will last until early June. People are being advised to allow more time for their journey, especially if they're heading for London Luton Airport. In sport, conference leaders Luton go to second place Cambridge tonight. Watford resume championship action at Doncaster. In League One, playoff chasing MK Dons are at Notts County. Stevenage continue their relegation fight at home to Preston. In League Two, Wickham host Plymouth. The weather mostly cloudy this morning, sunny spells developing this afternoon, a maximum temperature 14 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
Very friendly place. Hasn't been really spoiled.
All this week, we're featuring Wheat Hampstead.
The community is just so cohesive, it does so much together.
Some of the parts are very pretty and semi-rural, so it's an attractive place.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. All this week, featuring Wheat Hampstead. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Semi-rural, you say? Yeah, the girls are putting the hand cream on. Let's get this party smooth. Woo! That's right, the girl... I get accused often of speaking of sexual stereotypes, but the girls are putting their hand cream on. Wow. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. I don't know, we're all a bit grumpy today. Kath's grumpy, I'm a bit grumpy. Kelly, you grumpy?
No.
OK, so 2/3 of us are a bit grumpy today. I've got really... I don't know what Kath's beef is, and maybe we'll investigate that during the show. I've got very tight shoulders. My shoulders are tight. I had a 2-year-old and a cat in the bed with me last night, and it's a big bed. I had no room at all. They're both quite small. I had very little room. To the point where I would push the 2-year-old as far away from me as I possibly could so I could turn over, and by the time I turned over, he was right back up against me again, and yet he was asleep. How was he doing that? Oh, my boys would not stop blowing off yesterday. I mean, I'm sorry. It was the smell was disgusting. Well, you know what they say, if you can't beat them... Lots to talk about on the show this morning. No, not if you can't beat them, slap them. No, Kelly, for goodness sakes. Lots to talk about this morning. An Aylesbury firm is accusing the government of only being interested in big business after being forced to pull out of a bid to provide tags for criminals. If you run a small company, do you feel supported, or are you on your own until you start making some serious cash? Bedfordshire Chief Constable Colette Paul will be joining me to tell me how she'll be dealing with allegations that 2 of her officers assaulted a man with the mental age of 5. And the Luton to Dunstable busway is at the centre of another row. Do you remember those wonderful, marvellous electronic signs they brought in to tell cars to keep off? Well, cars aren't keeping off, and the signs are costing £600 a week. Wouldn't it be cheaper just to hire, like, a young student or something to stand there? Facebook.com, etc. 81333. Start your text 3CR. Or... Come on, guys. You've been really slack the last few days on the phone calls. Less of it. 08455... more phone calls, less of the slackness. 08459 455 555.
across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, sometimes you have to fake it to make it. We're not feeling particularly excited. Are you feeling excited, Kelly?
Yes.
I can't. How come your mood is so out of sync with mine and Catherine's?
Because I'm a different person to you guys.
She's not wrong, actually, when you think about it. Very wise.
Let me show you the way to go. I don't know everything, but there's something I do know. I know. I've read and heard a lot, and now we're ready to show that we can come together and think like one. Come together now, live together underneath the sun. Please, let me show you, let me show you the way to go. Follow me, my friend. Oh, let me show you, come on, let me show you the way to go. Just put your trust in me. I'll try not to let you down. Let you down. The job is hard to do, but all we can do is count. 'Cause we can help each other to overcome. We can do it now. Just everybody and get the job done. Please, just let me show you. Let me show you the way to go. Swear I'll never let you down. Let me show you the way to go. Let me, just let me show you now. Let me show you, come on. Let me show you the way to go. Let me show you the way to go. I swear I'll never let you down. Let me show you the way to go.
Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Fake it to make it, guys. Fake it to make it. Hugs, not drugs. Yeah? Well.
Put your hand in mine. We can do it.
08459 455 555. This is a two-way street. I don't know what it... One-way street. Anyway, this is a two-way street. I'm putting my shizzle out on the line here, and I want you to call in, for goodness sake. You've been really slack the last 2 days. Less of that, more of the calls. Now, here's a story. In January this year, David Cameron told the Federation of Small Businesses that he wanted to cut red tape and get out of the way of small business success. Well, one firm in Aylesbury would beg to differ with that. A company called Buddy was shortlisted to provide tags for the Ministry of Justice, but claims the procurement process is so long-winded and expensive it's been forced to pull out. Oh, yeah, and it's already spent £2 million. Well, David Knowles-Leake is the regional chair of the Federation of Small Businesses in the Thames Valley and joins me now. Morning, David.
Good morning.
Do you think Buddy ever stood a chance, or was it there just to make up numbers?
Oh, goodness me. I mean, I call it the paperclip paradox. You know, they end up with the process for procurement very often ends up being more expensive than the value of the goods, let alone the profit you make out of it. So there's a major hurdle for government to get over in this. It is such a disincentive for small businesses to fill in pre-qualification questionnaires, have this process, that process, and what other. I'm amazed they spent £2 million on it and came out, because that sounds like a fairly big exercise. But the Thames Valley is full of people who've given up trying to sell to local government and government generally because of the process.
So what David Cameron said then about cutting red tape to help small businesses, that's just not happened?
Well, I mean, he to be fair to him, I suppose, he only said it less than a month ago, so... I guess the knife hasn't slipped through. What government claim is that they get rid of red. If one regulation comes in, they try and get rid of two. But in terms of the impact, as I see it, it's just been minimal. And certainly on the purchasing side, it's just we've got a process where it actually puts the cost up to the taxpayer. The process of buying the goods because of, complicated tender exercises makes it extremely expensive. It adds costs for government, and you end up with a whole load of suppliers, potential suppliers, who give up because the cost of them's enormous. That's not even counted.
Well, the old tagging contract, I've been told, has been taken over by Capita, another large firm regularly used by the government, when Buddy says it could have done it for half the price.
Well, again, the larger companies seem to be able to hold sway in this process. They very often have things called framework agreements, which means they're already a supplier to government, so they have some kind of inside track. And you just seem to get this inexorable march of these contracts to the larger companies, and it makes it progressively more difficult for the smaller ones to get in.
So what could the government do to make things better?
Well, I mean, it's the old Winston Churchill thing, isn't it? Common sense would be great, but as he said, it's not very common. You just would think that instead of pursuing a process to the end result, people would actually say, well, hang on, if we can do this effectively and we can do it cheaper, why are we putting people through a very, very complex process, which is actually going to sort of kill the goose, as it were, which is going to stop people getting to the end point. I mean, I just think it needs a wholesale re-examination. The excuse, as always, is because of European legislation, we have to follow these very elaborate tender processes. I don't think that's always the case, but for big contracts it probably is. But it is just made so onerous, and it just needs a complete reshaping.
And is there any indication? I mean, obviously David Cameron's made this speech, but is there any indication this will practically happen?
Well, I mean, as I say, some regulations are being moved, but they're not the ones that are critical. And on purchasing, we've been discussing this for certainly in my time for the last 4 or 5 years, and there have been promises to move this and move that, tinker with the system. But even those small changes have taken an eternity to happen. Something substantial needs to happen so that people who have got a cost advantage, who aren't already a player with government, can actually sit in front of them and strike a deal. It just doesn't happen as it stands.
David, thank you very much for getting up at this ridiculous time of the morning to talk to me. David Knowles-Leake, Regional Chair of the Federation of Small Businesses in the Thames Valley. Over to you, small business owners. I know I am very popular with entrepreneurs. Very popular with those. How difficult is it to set up a small business, to run a small business, to make bids for things? Is there lots of red tape? What on earth is that noise in the studio? It's me? Oh, right, I see. Can you not hear that? Can you not hear that? Listen. What is that?
That.
What? Just...
Are you overheating?
Shh. Is it this? What is it?
Is it a fan?
Can you hear it?
Go under the desk and see if it gets louder.
Well, no, but it's coming through the microphone into my ears.
I know, I just want to see if you get under the desk.
Idiot. Right, I was doing a thing about small businesses then.
Mm-hmm. Do it. Do the thing.
OK, give us a call if you've got a small business. 08459...
How's the government helped you?
455.
Or has red tape got in your way?
555.
Call me now.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, the motorway's looking good at the moment. No problems from what I can see on camera on the M1 or the M25. The M40 is looking fine, as is the A1M, and no accidents or incidents have been reported. Still some flooding in Hertfordshire, of course. Feldon Lane in Hemel is closed because of the burst water main there. At Tring, the Watery Lane closure is still in, of course. To the trains, London Midland and Virgin say there are possible delays through the three counties, all because of problems with the overhead wires up in the West Midlands between Tamworth and Nuneaton, those problems. And the Piccadilly line's running with severe delays out of London towards Cockfosters because of a late finish of engineering works. I'm James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
James, thank you very much. 6:16. It's, where are we now? Tuesday, the 11th of March. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A small Buckinghamshire-based firm, which was in line to win a major government contract, has had to pull out. The Aylesbury company Buddy, which supplies electronic tags to police forces, withdrew, citing cost and bureaucracy. £600 a week is being spent on a sign to deter motorists from using the Luton to Dunstable guided busway. The Borough Council says it doesn't want to spend the money, but driver stupidity means they have to. And in sport, conference leaders Luton go to the second place Cambridge tonight. Luton are 15 points clear, but it won't last, mark my words.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Nick Coffer on BBC Three Counties Radio.
How about a bit of murder and death, particularly local murder and death from the 19th century?
I mean, one of the crimes in the book, I think there's a potential there for miscarriage of justice.
Here until 3 o'clock this afternoon. More great music to come in the next 2.5 hours. Every once in a while, I like a little bit of epic on this programme.
Nick Coffer.
Today, I'm just outside of Aylesbury at Stoke Mandeville. I'm at Hula, which is an animal rescue centre in the paediatrics ward of the L&D Hospital. I'm in St Albans.
Nick Coffer, weekdays from 12 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yeah, I'm bouncing in my seat. I'm bouncing in my seat. Just a little bounce. My top teeth over my bottom lip. And my head is bouncing back and forth like this. All in all, I'm looking pretty cool. Yeah, looking. Kelly's watching me. Kelly, I warn you now, I'm a married man. You're much younger than me, but I'm looking hot, huh?
Yes.
Catherine, I warn you now, I'm a married man. You're about the same age as me. I'm looking pretty hot, huh?
I think you're safe.
Thank you. Oh, hang on a minute. 08459 455 555. Hey, kids, remember the Luton to Dunstable busway? Yeah, the one the cars keep getting stuck on. Yeah, the one the council told us motorists will get used to and they didn't need extra signs for. Yeah, the one, in case you don't remember it, the one they've put extra signs up for. Well, guess what? Idiot drivers are still driving onto it, and mobile signs the councils have brought in are costing you, the taxpayer, £600 a week. That's not bad, is it? Well, our reporter, Sophie Solera, is there this morning. Morning, Sophie.
Good morning.
Can you describe these signs to me, first of all?
All right, well, first of all, it's a large sign. It's higher than my head, so, I'm
wow,
really
that's large.
tall. Yeah. I'm like 5'8", so the sign must come at least to 6'5". That's the guess. And it basically says, no cars, busway, flashes. I'm going to take a selfie with it and tweet it.
Wow.
Very quiet here today. It doesn't look like anyone will come down this road.
What's the problem, Sophie? What's been happening?
Well, since the busway opened in September, we've heard loads of reports of cars driving onto it, ending up with burst tyres, getting in the bus's way, ending up in the paper, you know the score. They argued that they were just following their sat-navs. Do you remember when we sent Tony Fisher out to test that theory?
Oh, I do remember. Shall we have a little listen?
Let's do that.
Here we go.
Right, we're now going under the railway bridge. About to cross the guided busway.
Now turn right.
It's telling me to turn right. It's telling me to turn right down the guided busway.
Okay, we need to just clarify for purposes. It was telling him to turn right. Is that correct?
Definitely right.
So
yeah.
the sat-nav was telling Tony Fisher to turn right.
And if you're not familiar with the town, what are you going to do?
It's telling me to turn right.
Yeah, it was telling him to turn right.
You're going to go right. Exactly, like he did. And you will be relying on your sat-nav if you don't know the area. Of course, then you'll get in trouble. However, this didn't wash with Luton Borough Council. And Councillor Dave Taylor told you, when we spoke to him back in November, that there was no confusion about this busway. People were just pushing their luck.
I am concerned. I mean, there have been some incursions, and it's disappointing that people choose to ignore the signage. I'm not sure how a sat-nav will guide them up the busway, and I'm just wondering if they're the same sat-navs that drive people over cliffs and into rivers.
Well, he also suggested, didn't he, the signs were fine and people will get used to it. They mustn't have, because they've brought in more signs.
That's right. Before the flashing matrix sign was installed on the 15th of January, there were 2 to 3 vehicles a week getting onto the busway. But having told motorists they would soon get the message and stay away, the signs have been brought in as a temporary measure, and you just can't miss them. This one's actually visible to cars and vans using the busway before the Galaxy Centre, and it's you can be seen from far and wide from around the town. Since it went up, there's only been 2 incidents, including one last Tuesday, Ian.
What happened last Tuesday?
So a motorist drove onto the busway. It's not yet known how he got there, he or she. The busway had to be closed for 2 hours, though, for recovery work.
Gosh.
I know.
Well, it sounds like an absolute mess. You've been speaking to people about the illuminated sign. £600 a week. Do they think it's taxpayers' money well spent?
Well, the general consensus is no. It's not money well spent. In fact, people are positively outraged about it. Why can't you get a cheaper sign, they told me. Here's what some of them said.
Very angry to hear that. £600 just to warn people not to drive through there. Maybe 1 in 1,000 will occasionally go up, but they can put some illuminated sign, small one, instead of this display, which is totally waste of revenue.
So huge waste of money.
It's totally waste of money. Yeah.
That is shocking, because they can do it for about 50, 100 quid a week. Not even 100 quid a week. They should have it up there for like free and like sponsor some company for it. I mean, 600 quid a week, that's too much.
What about the dangers of people driving the wrong way, though?
Yeah, I've seen a few people drive. I've seen people stuck. I've seen cars, like, smashed up, like, tyres been smashed up. So that sign doesn't even work. Like, if they're paying 600 quid a week, that sign should, like, do its job, but it's not even doing its job. So, like, they might as well take it off.
But I do think that it's necessary. Yes, because only the buses are allowed to go there, right? So it is kind of necessary. You can replace it, you can have an alternative or something.
Well, can't they just put an ordinary one up there and paint on it, say don't go up there, rather than the flashing one? That's ridiculous, isn't it?
I think it's rubbish.
It's a waste of money.
So, what else is the council doing to stop people getting onto the busway?
So bollards have been installed near
Beg
the
your
station.
pardon?
Bollards have been installed
Sorry, I
near the
misheard.
station, but they're not yet working. The council have said they have to get their technology right first, but bollards will eventually lower for buses, but not for cars and lorries. The council say they're confident that this will help solve the problem of motorists driving on the busway by accident or out of pure stupidity.
Sophie, thank you very much indeed. This story makes me laugh because people are such idiots. Every week, it seems, I get tweeted or emailed a little photograph that one of you have taken, and thank you for that, of some muppet that's gone the wrong way up the busway. There's a euphemism. 08459 455 555. 600 quid a week, though. In the great scheme of things, it's not that much money, is it? But, when we're all having to make cuts, when we're all having to cut back 600 quid a week, that's all right, isn't it? I could do with 600. I would stand there for 600 quid a week. Why don't they get... Someone tweeted last night, why don't they get one of those... Who are the people that dress up as Spider-Man? Who are the people that dress... Not the real Spider-Man.
Fathers for Justice.
No. What?
Peter Parker.
No. Who?
The fella who plays
Peter Parker.
He's not Spider-Man. What are you talking about?
It's his real name in Spider-Man.
No, it's not. Peter Parker's just a humble little young kid. He's not connected with Spider-Man. What
That's
are you
his
talking about?
name.
Shh. Not supposed to tell anyone.
Oh.
No, there are people that you often see dressed up as Spider-Man advertising something.
Oh, Domino's Pizza.
That's the fellas.
Pizza Man.
That's the fellas. I remember last summer, on what was the hottest day of the year, I saw some poor fellow who was getting less than minimum wage, he must have been, dressed up in the full Spider-Man outfit, stood in a roundabout.
And also one of my younger colleagues tried to explain to me that someone was dressed up as, and they explained it over and over again before I realised it was Captain America. Probably works better in the US than over here.
I've never driven past and thought, oh, Spider-Man, just pizza. Oh, yeah, I'll get pizza.
Yeah,
I thought, oh, I'll watch Spider-Man when I get in.
Or I've thought, that bloke's an idiot.
Yeah,
He'd never get up the side of a building, would he, if he was eating that?
If he was eating that much. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Feel sorry for the Spider-Man. You can also send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. 600 quid a week on an electronic sign telling people... Basically, it says, stop being stupid. The sign says, don't be an idiot. It might as well say that.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the motorways, well, getting a little busy now on the M1, especially southbound on camera 9 to 8, but it's all moving. No accidents or incidents reported on the motorways. The M25 and the M40, by the way, looking good on the cameras. A405 at Brickerwood, quite busy approaching the M25 roundabout. The 414 at the Park Street roundabout's moving along nicely, though, on the sensors. Chiltern trains, we're just being told of problems with a broken down train at Princes Risborough. This just coming in, as you can hear. Southbound, the line is blocked at Princes Risborough, and delays of up to half an hour for some Chiltern trains heading through down towards London. We'll keep you up to date on that. Virgin and London Midland say possible delays this morning because of problems with the overhead wires up between Nuneaton and Tamworth. I'm James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's telling me to turn right.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Simon Oxley. A small Buckinghamshire-based firm, which was in line to win a major government contract, has had to pull out after spending £2 million. The Aylesbury company Buddy, which supplies electronic tags to police forces, withdrew, citing cost and bureaucracy. £600 a week is being spent on a sign to deter motorists from using the Luton to Dunstable guided busway. The Borough Council blames driver stupidity. And Malaysia Airlines says the focus for the search for the passenger plane, which went missing over the weekend, has now moved to the west coast of the country.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
An important night of football ahead, certainly in the conference where leaders Luton go to second place Cambridge. The Hatters are 15 points ahead. Manager John Still is looking at the bigger picture.
I understand, football supporters... the manager side of it is, I think it is different because all I want to do is win the league. Whether I beat Cambridge or don't beat Cambridge, of little interest to me.
Watford resumed Championship action at Doncaster with Fernando Forestieri and Lewis McGugan set to return to the squad. Beppe Sanino's Hornets are 7 points from the playoffs with a game in hand.
To be honest, I don't know the table. I don't know how many points we have. I stressed in the past. In terms of Watford, I'm focused on the next game.
In League One, Dean Bowditch could start for the Milton Keynes Dons at bottom club Notts County after signing a new one-year contract. Carl Robinson's side are back in playoff contention with Peterborough at home on Saturday.
Now we've got to go to Notts County. It's massive now, big 48 hours for us as a football club, and I'm excited by what we can do. We've put ourselves in with the next 2 games being really important, and that's all I can ask of the group.
Stevenage host manager Graham Westley's former club Preston and will be without midfielder John Massinho, who's on loan from the visitors. And in League 2, Wickham will be without the injured Paris Cowan Hall and the suspended Josh Scowen for tonight's visit of Plymouth. And there's full commentary on Luton, Watford, MK Dons and Stevenage on tonight's Three Counties Sport from 7. In the Champions League, Arsenal go to Bayern Munich, trailing 2-0 from the first leg. In the Southern League Premier, third place St Albans drew 0-0 at Biggleswade last night. Tonight, leaders Hemel Hempstead host Cambridge City. Second place Chesham go to Burnham. And in racing, the Cheltenham Festival starts today with the feature race, the Champion Hurdle, at 3:20. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 7.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Whoa. Hey, Catherine, you all right?
I was strangling myself.
There was nearly a studio emergency. Who's the first aider here?
Paul Scoins.
Oh, well, where...
Nowhere to be seen.
Paul Scoins, political correspondent and BBC Three Counties first aider. Catherine Boyle nearly strangled herself.
Garrotted.
Yeah, with her very own headphones. You all right, love?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I can't extend this. This is because I put a safety thing on it.
Oh, the
thus
safety...
making...
Yeah.
It's less than a headphone lead than a sort of... some chin strap.
It's political madness gone wrong, isn't it?
It's all gone
really. Now, listen.
Headphones don't even work.
She realises 2 minutes in. Now, listen, before we're going to do the papers in a bit. And where have the phone calls gone this week? Last week, we could not breathe because of the phone calls we're getting. This week, we've had hardly any, and the ones we've had have been rubbish.
Do you know what my mistake was yesterday?
Go on.
I turned down a dog poo story.
Oh, mate.
Because I could hear you going, oh, yeah, we're doing the dog poo.
Mate, never.
Story. We're not doing a dog poo.
Oh, Mum, I'm doing a dog... Mate... No. One of the joys of having children is you get to see them at their most vulnerable. And the number of times I have sat in the bathroom watching my eldest doing a poo. Don't, because we got so many texts yesterday. Oh, he's going on toilet. But it's true. And he sits there and he'll talk...
There is a face, isn't there?
He'll sit there and he'll talk about his school day. Well, today at school we did some painting. And then I played out with the... And then I drew a picture. Does that?
You know what that lad needs? A newspaper.
Daddy, he says, oh, bless him, he says, Daddy, I'm a heaving and a hoving and it won't come out. So I have to teach him techniques. Anyway.
Might just get a kind of faraway look in their eye. Or my youngest goes to play with the doll's house. We all know what's happening over there.
I was in a disabled toilet the other day, and I was sitting down, and opposite the toilet facility, there was a mirror. A full-length mirror. Haven't the disabled been punished enough? Who wants to see that? I saw the face that no man should ever have to see.
You saw the reason for a locked toilet door.
Oh, my goodness. Why would you put a full-length mirror opposite a toilet?
The weirdest thing is when couples do that together.
No.
Yeah, one in the bath, one on the loo. Wrong.
Does what in the bath? Anyway, listen, don't, because the complainants will be complaining even more.
No, but sometimes you can be two together.
No, never.
I've seen, you know, if you've ever seen that programme Cribs on MTV.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have his and hers dunnies in the same room.
I can't go to the toilet, ones or twos, if my wife is on the same floor of the house, let alone in the same room.
You know, since motherhood, I've had to learn to do it with someone banging on the door. But not in. No, I draw the line.
Talking about toilets, yeah? 084... This is why people aren't calling in. 08459 455 555. Right, I'm going to play a song.
We'll forget this ever happened.
Yes, please do. Kelly, do not put it in the podcast. So, I'm going to play a song. I spoke to one of the gentlemen that wrote this song last night on the telephone.
Did you?
Yeah, he's written lots and lots of famous songs. Right, Bobby Hart. You won't know his name, but you'll know what he wrote.
Bobby Hart, you mean the guy who wrote Valerie, Stepping Stone... Pleasant Valley Sunday.
He didn't write that.
OK, well, I'm sure he had some sort of influence on it.
He wrote the Monkees theme. Brum, here we come. I'm on the phone to him, and he's 75 years old, bless him, and he's such a sweet gentleman. But I was trying to be... I left an answer phone message for him at the weekend, and it was one of those messages... It's like when you leave a message for a girl that you really like. As I'm leaving the message...
You're trying to be cool.
Yeah. 3 minutes into the message, I'm thinking, I should have bailed out of this a minute, and I couldn't end the message. And I spoke to him last night, and for the whole conversation, I'm calling him Man. Hey, man, it's Iain Lee from the UK. Just, Bobby, you okay, man? Anyway, man, I was just wondering if you're still up for this interview at the weekend, man. And as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, what's all this man nonsense? Anyway, he's a legend, and he wrote this.
I'm not your stepping stone. I'm not your stepping stone. Your mark in society. You're using all the tricks that you used on me. You're reading all them high fashion magazines. The clothes you're wearing, girl, are causing public scenes. I said, I'm not your stepping stone. I'm not your stepping stone. Not just stepping stone. Not just stepping stone. When I first met you, girl, you didn't have no shoes. But now you're walking around like your front page news. You've been awful careful about the friends you choose, but you won't find my name in your book of who's who's. I said, I'm not your stepping stone. I'm not your stepping stone. Not your stepping stone.
I spoke to the man, one of the men who wrote this song last night. I have his phone number in my mobile. Life does not get much sweeter than speaking to Mr. Bobby Hart. Bobby Hart, that's a proper showbiz name, isn't it?
Bobby Hart.
Not like Iain Lee or Catherine Boyle. Bobby Hart. Please welcome to the stage Bobby Hart and Catherine Boyle and Iain Lee. Boring names.
I could be an American news anchor if my name was like Kitty.
But Catherine Kitty?
There's a Kitty K, isn't there? Kitty K.
Well, so you have to change your whole name?
Yeah, it'd be like Kitty Boyle.
You couldn't be... That's Katie Boyle. And,
no, Kitty.
Yeah, but it sounds like Katie Boyle, and also it sounds like you're boiling a cat. You couldn't do that. They're very, very into their animal rights over there.
Really?
Not so much their human rights. Hey? Bit of politics. Sylvia's in Luton. Good morning, Sylvia.
Good morning, Ian.
Good morning. Is that your real voice?
Yes.
Oh, how lovely. What would you like to say?
Well, I would like to know why they're digging up all the tiles at the top of the town near farm food. There doesn't seem to be anything matter with them, but they're digging up all the top part of the town and putting small tiles down.
You've got all posh.
Oh, have I? I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. I like you, Sylvia.
Yeah.
Hello, Sylvia. I like you. Catherine, I wasn't listening. Maybe you could help Sylvia.
They're digging up tiles outside farm foods.
All the brickwork.
Oh. On the floor or on the...
On the ground.
I don't know. I've got no... Right, OK. Well, listen, Sylvia, I'm glad you've called in. We can put this out. Well, 08459 455 555. Outside farm food. And where is this, Sylvia? Remind me.
Right up the top of the town.
Yeah.
Where the buses run round.
From Luton?
In front of Luton Church Street.
I know exactly, yes. I know exactly. OK.
Brickwork that they spent a lot of money doing. Now they're digging it all up and putting small bricks.
Is it too slippery or something, I wonder?
Oh, no.
Have you ever slipped over there, Sylvia?
Oh, no, I just wondered why, when we're so short of money, they're spending all that money doing it.
Hey, what do you think? 600 quid a week to have a sign up telling people to stop being idiots? It's crazy, isn't it?
So it must be costing thousands for that.
Well, yeah, over time, yes. It's £600 a week.
2,400 a month.
Oh, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
What have you got planned for the rest of the day, Sylvia?
Oh, a bit of shopping.
Yeah.
Farm foods?
No. It's only Tesco's.
Sylvia, you're a good sport. It's really nice to talk to you. Thank you very much. Ta-ta, bye-bye. There we go.
What's going on at Farm Foods?
What is going on at Farm Foods? What a delightful lady Sylvia was. Although her voice had changed like 3 or 4 times. I liked posh Sylvia.
Yeah, she got posher when you highlighted that.
Yeah, she was nice. I like her. Let's see if Joyce in Leagrave is going to be as nice as Sylvia. Sylvia's already my favourite caller of the day.
Oh, but Joyce, come on.
Come on, Joyce.
Joyce is Joyce.
Joyce.
Hey, favourites. You don't have to have favourites.
I do.
Listen, to start with,
Hello.
They're on about the money they're spending. I know I'm on a different tangent to what I rang in about. I should do that in a moment.
You go where you want to go.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're spending all that money, and yet we are going to have to pay some towards our shop mobility, the disabled shop.
Oh,
we're going to have to pay some towards our transport, and yet they pay all that money, our Luton Town Hall out, and then you imagine 2 of you going downtown, and you're paying, I think it is £3 each way.
Yeah.
People haven't got that £12 to spend to go down and...
No.
Joyce, did you go to that meeting last night?
No, I didn't. I'm busy in bed and I can't read all the notes quick enough.
Well, it's just that the council said they'd get back to us with the decision. This is about do you remember the Dial-A-Ride saga?
I do, yeah, I've known about that.
So, in fact, you're the person who brought it to us and said we need to investigate it. They were having a meeting last night where they would make a decision on what was going to happen because Shop Mobility have stepped in where Dial-A-Ride have withdrawn. Right. They were going to give us a shout and tell us what went on in that meeting, but I've had nothing from the council. So if anyone knows...
If anyone was at that meeting last night, 08459 455 555. Joyce, we will put a call into the council. If we don't get someone on today, we will do our darndest to get someone tomorrow.
We are getting someone on.
Why should we pay for that when they're paying £600?
Yeah.
Now listen,
Hello.
dogs,
yes, right?
Now, this morning early...
You're my second favourite caller of the morning, by the way.
Early, abroad, I heard, I think it was Venice, I couldn't catch where it was.
Venice?
What country, yeah. Some posh place with lots and lots of lovely dogs and everywhere.
There's no pavements in Venice, it's all canals.
Well, whatever it is, it's there.
Yes.
And they had all these lovely little dogs and you could hear them yapping away and clicking of heels and everything.
What on earth is she talking about?
Dogs. And... talking about your dog poo, right? You were talking about that this morning. Yes.
I don't like my boys, but yes.
No. And they have begun, because there's so much on the road, they can't clean it up properly and keep it clean.
Yes.
So
they're
taking DNA tests from a dog's paw.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
They're taking DNA. They're swabbing dogs and their poo.
Exactly.
And then doing what?
They're matching it up. Somebody's going around picking it up and taking tests, I suppose.
So, hang on a minute. Someone goes and swabs a dog's mouth?
No. Somebody takes a blood test from the dog's paw.
That's even worse.
DNA. This is what they said. And the people with the pooper scoopers are going to test it to see if it's your dog.
I think Catherine wants to comment on this story.
Well, no, I was just wondering. I guess it could work in somewhere like Venice where you have a captive audience.
You do.
What a job. So what do you do for a living these days? Well, what I do is I go around, collect dog poo, and I DNA test it, then I match it up with the dogs, and then I shoot the owners. Is that what they do?
They fine them.
Fine them.
When I used to live in Paris, if you walked home very early in the morning,
yes.
which I never did.
No.
You would come across the men whose job it is to jet wash the pavements and any detritus into the drains.
Oh.
And they used to just...
Is that not a pissoir?
No.
Is that something different?
I don't know. Maybe if French Jonathan's listening, he'll know what the term is for it.
Joyce?
It might be a caquoir.
Joyce, lovely to talk to you. What lovely callers. What are they lovely, Catherine?
You see, I told you we missed a trick not doing the dog poo phone in.
Well, it would appear we are. 08459 455 555. Let's get the travel with James.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thanks, Iain. Chiltern trains reporting delays and disruption into London this morning. A train's broken down at Princess Risborough. The southbound line is blocked and there may be delays of up to half an hour. There are likely to be cancellations as well. There's a half-hour shuttle service running Aylesbury to Princess Risborough and buses running also Princess Risborough to High Wycombe. So problems mainly into London, towards London rather, on Chiltern trains. On the roads, M1, certainly heavy southbound on camera now, 10 to 7, Luton to Hemel, building up on the southbound A1 Emma Junction, 7 Stevenage on the sensors, and slow on the Amersham Road, the 413 through Chalfont St Giles, according to our speed sensors, heading up towards Amersham. James Woolley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, James. Don't know where Alice Glossop is. Maybe we'll investigate later on. I hope nothing bad has happened. We'll find out and make sure nothing bad has happened before we start making jokes about her. And do you know what? Even if something bad has happened, we'll gauge the badness, still probably make some jokes about her. 6:46, it's Tuesday, the 11th of March. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Buckingham... I tell you what, guys, for old time's sake, do you remember back in the day, Catherine, you used to do the news before you got demoted to producer?
Yes.
Do you want to really... Come and sit here.
Okay.
Come and sit here. Let's have you doing the news.
And then what do I press?
Then you just press go.
Okay.
And then you go into the weather. So away you go. Let's go to Catherine Boyle now for the latest news.
At 6:47, the headlines. A Buckinghamshire firm is accusing the government of only being interested in big business after being forced to pull out of a bid to provide tags for criminals. The Aylesbury company Buddy withdrew, citing costs and bureaucracy after spending £2 million. £600 a week is being spent on a sign to deter motorists from using the Luton to Dunstable guided busway. The Borough Council blames driver stupidity. And in Sport, League One playoff hopefuls MK Dons go to bottom club Notts County tonight, while Stevenage continue their battle against relegation with a home game against Preston.
Hey, not bad.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties.
You've got to do more faders. Hang on a second. Here's the weather with Kate.
She could do this as well if she likes. Good morning. We've got a bit of cloud around this morning. It's kept things relatively cosy, though, overnight. A mild start to the day. Temperatures ranging between 4 and 7 Celsius across all three counties. But we're hanging on to the cloud for a time and also that northeasterly breeze. So it's actually feeling a bit chilly. Further north you go, though, we could actually get some brightness this morning. And later on this afternoon, the clouds should start to thin and break. We may get some sunny spells later, but the maximum temperature is struggling up into double figures, getting up to 10 Celsius, 50 degrees in Fahrenheit. Now, overnight, if we've got any cloud left by then, it will eventually disappear. Clear skies, lighter winds leads to 1 or 2 mist and fog patches developing, but also perhaps down to 0. The more sheltered spots could get a frost tomorrow morning. But it is a murky start to Wednesday. It will lift quite quickly by 9 o'clock. We should start to see the sunshine by then. Lighter winds and feeling much milder in the sunshine. We're looking at a maximum temperature tomorrow at 13 Celsius, 55 degrees in Fahrenheit. And that's your forecast.
Thank you very much. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that trip down memory lane as much as I did. Catherine?
Yeah.
OK.
Every weekday from 3.
Why would anyone buy a mattress off the back of a van?
Roberto Perrone.
How do you keep a straight face? That is so funny. A professor from the University of Bedfordshire has followed in the footsteps of Indiana Jones.
Weekdays from 3.
It's the family and lifestyle debate. Got an hour discussing business and finance. It's our politics panel discussing how politics affects us. Later in the show, it's all about the entertainment world.
Roberto Perrone. Weekdays from 3 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
OK, guys, got some exciting news. The big tour is back! Do you want to go?
Wheat Hampstead.
And it's where people have been telling us how long they've been waiting to get their pub back. The Swan is Grade 2 listed, which has meant it's taken longer to get work up and running. The builders are in now. Building consultant Philip Spencer's been showing our reporter Tara Gungerful what they're up to.
Attention. Security officers will arrive shortly and any intruders found on these premises will be prosecuted. If you are authorised, please put your key on the light. Thank you. You can now move freely around the property.
We've just come into the bar now. We can see that we've taken out some of the soft furnishings which were badly affected by water. We're in the main bar area here, which you can see is temporarily propped at the moment. Part of this ceiling was badly affected by the fire up above and obviously water from the fire brigade and And you can see sections of the ceiling here have come down. We've got mould growth developing at the lower levels, and we are now standing immediately beneath where the seat of the fire was. A lot of the plasterwork has sagged and bellied down, and similarly in the main bar area we've got the similar problems of the ceilings ready to collapse. We're just going to move upstairs now, so watch your step up here. This is coming up into the living accommodation up above the pub, and you can start smelling where the smoke has been. And mind your head as you come through. We're stepping through into which was originally the bedroom, and this is where the fire actually took a hold. It would appear to have started on the windowsill. It may possibly have been a cigarette or potentially candles. It was a very fortunate situation in that there was actually a person sleeping in here at the time, the daughter of the previous publican, and the smoke, we believe, managed to exit out through the doorway because it was an ill-fitting door and activated the smoke alarm. But this area was a very bad area of devastation, and there, by the grace of God, there could have been fatalities. And you can see, looking around here, the whole of the roof has actually been burnt away, very badly charred timbers. And as part of the investigations, you'll see that we've got some original timber framing to the building, and set within these we've got what's called wattle and daub panelling. And these panels have been set within the main timber frame. There are a number of them that are still partially intact, and these are the very historic parts of the building which listed building control are very keen to make sure that we try and preserve and keep in situ. We need to lift up the timber floor we're standing on at the moment, which is saturated, and we need to dry these in controlled conditions so that we can reinstate them.
So these will be reused because they come with the building?
These are historic parts. You'll see they're very, very wide floorboards. They're part of the original building, so we will be uplifting these, we'll be numbering them, we'll be taking them off site and controlled drying them so that they don't all curve and belly, and when they're at a suitable moisture level we'll bring them back into the building, and they'll rest in the building for a bit to get the humidity to the same as the building, and then we will refix them back in the same place that we've taken them up from. And what we'll be looking to do is effectively reinstate as much as possible, like for like.
From your experience of doing work like this, how long do you think it would take, forget planning applications, forget all of that, to actually get it back to how it was?
If we were to give them the green light to go today, and we've got the contractor all in place to go ahead and do it, the actual amount of works on site, there's got to be at least, I would say, 12 weeks' work actually on site.
Well, let's speak to Sally Sharnbrook, who can't wait to move into the pub, can you, Sally?
Hi, no, we're definitely looking forward to it.
So when have you got a date? What's going to happen?
Hopefully end of July, early August.
The contract for the pub was signed a couple of days before the fire, is that right?
We were actually due to exchange and complete, yes, the days beforehand.
And it must be very disconcerting. All of your belongings are in a storage container outside the pub.
They are, yes. We've recently moved into the village. We're now renting a flat, so we have got a few of our bits and pieces out. But yes, the majority of all of our life is in there.
What's it been like, Sally? How's it felt?
It's been very soul-destroying at times, but we are actually... The community have been brilliant, and that's what's really kept us going. It wasn't about any pub we were going to buy. It was definitely always going to be the Swan. And the community have just been so positive.
What's the first thing you're going to do when you get in that boozer?
Have a big party.
There we go. Well, Sally, listen, give us a call when it's before you open, and we'll give it a big plug on air, OK?
That'd be brilliant.
And we wish you the very, very best of luck. Thank you very much indeed, Sally Sharnbrook. It must be very frustrating. It's a bold move to take on a pub, isn't it, Catherine?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry?
Oh, yeah, that's my disbelief.
All right, Rick Mail, calm down. We haven't done any of the papers, but should we play a record, or give us one story?
3 and 4 children are at risk from eating too much salt.
Thanks very much.
The Hidden Menace.
Lingers in your ear, but you can't forget from sundown to sunset. Nah. It's all in the air, you hear it everywhere. No matter what you do, it's gonna grab a hold on you. California soul
very sage advice, Catherine.
Actually, it's advice I shall hold on to.
Yes, please do. We've not really done any of the papers, but I don't mind that.
I'm surprised by this, though. This thing about the salt.
Oh, you're going back to the salt one, eh?
And I hate to do this because I love this song.
Oh.
Hang on.
What was this an advert for?
Dunno.
Go on, quickly do the salt, because I remembered one thing I
Two slices of wholemeal bread's got 1 gram of salt in.
Whoa.
Wholemeal, healthy, right?
Yeah.
2 slices of white bread, 0.7 of a gram, so it's got less salt in. So we should all be eating that cheap plastic bread.
How much salt has salt got in?
Loads.
Hey. So there's a picture here, page 7 of the Sun. It's in a couple of other papers. An anti-racism MP happily poses for a photo with his son, who is blacked up to look like Michael Jackson. Well, he's too black for Michael Jackson. So there's this MP here, Labour politician Iain Lavery, 51. His son is Iain Jr. What? Why? Well, Junior is an American thing, and why would you call it... Iain is an awful, awful name. But his son is blacked up as Michael Jackson. Is that racist? I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's silly. I don't think it's like the traditional Mickey-taking version of blacking up that we all think of. But we're white folks. Have we got a right to say? I guess it's how it's done, isn't it?
What's Sophie up to this morning? Is she busy? Can we get her to do something?
She's there or thereabouts. We can give her a shout.
Let's get Sophie on this, and also your calls, please. There's a young lad, he's blacked up as Michael Jackson. He's being accused of being a racist. Is he?
Also, we need to talk about Iain. Vegetarian Iain.
Oh, yes. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, on the roads, first of all, the M1's very busy southbound, 10 to 7, Luton to Hemel Hempstead, we've seen on camera. Anti-clockwise is slow moving on the M25, 27 to 25 through the roadworks, and it's also now picking up from junction 21 down towards 17 on that anti-clockwise carriageway. And the A1, that's slow moving into London from Stirling Corner to Mill Hill Circus. A1M, by the way, slow past Stevenage, as you'd expect this time of the morning. And Chiltern trains disruption still towards London because of a broken down train at Princes Risborough. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, James. Sorry, I didn't give you much time. I'll let you breathe next time. Is it racist to black up at a fancy dress party? I'm not sure.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Buckinghamshire small business criticises the government. £600 a week for Luton busway sign, and search continues for missing plane.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A Buckinghamshire firm is accusing the government of only being interested in big business after being forced to pull out of a bid to provide tags for criminals. The Aylesbury company Buddy withdrew, citing cost and bureaucracy after spending £2 million. David Knowles-Leake chairs the Federation of Small Businesses in the Thames Valley.
The process for procurement very often ends up being more expensive than the value of the goods, let alone the profit you make out of it. I'm amazed they spent £2 million on it and came out, because that sounds like a fairly big exercise. But the Thames Valley is full of people who've given up trying to sell to local government and government generally because of the process.
£600 a week is being spent on a sign to deter motorists from using the Luton to Dunstable guided busway. The Borough Council says it doesn't want to spend the money, but driver stupidity means they have to. More from Matt Lockwood.
The electronic sign saying busway no entry has been installed at the New Bedford Road entrance to the guideway. Services have been disrupted after drivers have been directed onto the busway by their sat-nav, and in some cases when vehicles have been deliberately driven along it. A penalty system is in place according to Luton Borough Council, and drivers could face a fine of up to £1,000 for ignoring the signs.
Police control rooms in Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire and Cambridgeshire could be run by One Force HQ to save millions of pounds, the BBC has learned. It's understood the centre for the three could be based at Huntingdon, the headquarters of Cambridgeshire Police. Combining the three could save up to £7 million. The plan was due to be made public in April. Malaysia Airlines says the focus for the search for the passenger plane, which went missing over the weekend, has now moved to the west coast of the country. The flight with 239 people on board vanished as it flew from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. The headquarters of Cambridgeshire Police. Combining Combining the three could save up to £7 million. The plan was due to be made public in April. Malaysia Airlines says the focus for the search for the passenger plane, which went missing over the weekend, has now moved to the west coast of the country. The flight with 239 people on board vanished as it flew from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Celia Hatton in Beijing says the Chinese government has been stung into action following criticism it wasn't doing enough to help.
The Chinese military has also redirected 10 of its high-resolution orbiting satellites towards the area where the plane is believed to have gone down. And, of course, the Chinese government has also announced a fairly comprehensive package to help relatives who had people on that plane.
MPs will vote on a controversial measure this afternoon which would give the Health Secretary greater powers to close local hospital services. Labour claims that Bedford and Milton Keynes hospitals would be placed at risk. Multi-million-pound improvements to the M1 at Junction 10 mean a new contraflow system comes into force this morning. The new traffic management system on the M1 spur road between junctions 10 and 10A will last until early June. And Cheryl Cole has confirmed she's returning to the X Factor as a judge. She left the panel in 2011 before a short-lived spell on the American version of the show. In sport, conference leaders Luton go to second-place Cambridge tonight as they close in on automatic promotion. The Hatters are 15 points clear. Cambridge manager Richard Money has conceded Luton will win the title. The weather, mostly cloudy this morning, sunny spells this afternoon, a maximum temperature 14 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
The village itself is quite ancient. The original settlement here was 2,000 years ago.
Inviting everyone to where you live.
It's a historic, vibrant village community, so it's a great place to live.
All this week, we're featuring Wheat Hampstead.
Great for small children if you've got a young family.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's telling me to turn right.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. We're an hour through the show already. We're zipping by. Time gets faster the older you are, doesn't it? And that makes me sad. That makes me very sad. Lots to talk about this morning, including Bedfordshire Chief Constable Colette Paul will be joining us to tell us exactly how she's dealing with allegations that two of her officers assaulted a man with the mental age of 5. An Aylesbury firm is accusing the government of only being interested in big business after being forced to pull out of a bid to provide tags for criminals. If you run a small company, how difficult is it? And the Luton to Dunstable busway is at the centre of another row. They've put up an electronic sign that costs, wait for it, £600 a week. And is it racist to black up as Michael Jackson at a fancy dress party? Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333, start your text 3CR, or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio. It's telling me to turn right.
Now, back in January, the Prime Minister promised to get out of the way of small businesses by cutting red tape. Well, it's not happened soon enough for one firm from Aylesbury. Buddy is a supplier of those tags that they stick on your ankle if you've been naughty. They currently do that for police forces and were shortlisted to provide tags for the Ministry of Justice, which is a huge deal. Could be a big gig, but after spending £2 million on the bid, they decided it's best to pull out. Sarah Murray is Buddy's chief executive. Morning, Sarah.
Morning, Ian.
Now, this must be incredibly disappointing.
It is. Very frustrating.
What was the £2 million for? Where did that go?
We've had to provide hundreds of thousands of pages of documentation. So we had a team of about 25 people in the whole company. Pretty much everybody at some point was involved in writing paperwork for the MOJ.
And what went wrong? What happened?
This process is going on and on and on. We still had no sight of a contract. And the MOJ want us to continue working without getting any pay, continue handing over prototype kit, etc., and it just doesn't make commercial sense.
Did they give you an end date at all, or did it just seem to be relentless?
Well, the contract's already delayed by about 14 months, so we passed the end date several times. The last end date was October last year, and we had a new end date, which is in a couple of weeks' time. No chance of that happening. So it's an indefinitely changing thing.
Have you had a response from the government? What have they said?
No response.
Oh. How rude. What do you feel?
Yes, it's a shame. It's frustrating.
What do you feel about the government procurement process, especially? Is it biased towards bigger firms, do you think?
It certainly is. I mean, in our space, it doesn't make any sense at all to have a national procurement. The idea of a national procurement is it saves money for the taxpayer. But in this case, we're wasting about £50 million a year on large companies when we could do the same work for less than half what is being spent.
What would you like to see changed in the future, Sarah?
I'd like to see civil service processes change for a start, and I'd also like to see tagging. I'd allow regional police authorities to choose who their suppliers are themselves and procure it themselves. I mean, 36 out of 42 of them are already working with us. Our tags are already working across most of the country. I'd let them just choose their own. And
am I right, the government are now going with Capita, and you would be much cheaper than them?
That's right, yeah. The government has signed a new contract with Capita to continue with G4S and Serco tags, so the same tags that are currently being used. They'll be used for at least another year. If we were to provide the newer technology, which actually works and provides locations, we'd do it for less than half of what is being charged.
Sarah, it's very frustrating. I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you, Sarah Murray, Buddy's Chief Executive. 08459 455 555. I'm joined now by David Liddington, MP for Aylesbury. Frustrating situation, isn't it, David?
Absolutely, and all the more so because, I mean, I've talked to Sarah over recent years and her colleagues. I've seen Buddy's product. I know that they do a really first-class job. This is an enterprising, dynamic small business, and, it's incredibly disappointing to see this particular project hit the buffers in this way.
It doesn't look good either for the government's record of supporting small businesses. This could have been a flagship project for that scheme.
Yeah, I mean, it is dismaying. I mean, there's obviously a tension inherent in any government procurement between the economies of scale you get with a big business and the certain flexibility that you get with small businesses, apart from the fact, of course, the great majority of companies in the Three Counties area and in Britain generally are small employers. They're not the big guys. So it's important that procurement rules are got right so that the small businesses get a fair crack of the whip. And I do want to talk to Sarah further to dig into the detail of what's gone on here.
Yeah.
I think that there's a case for making Buddy's experience something of a case study. I'm certainly willing to take this further with ministers, both at the Ministry of Justice and with ministers on the economic side of the government who sort of set the rules for procurement overall.
Is it true you've been in contact with Chris Grayling, Justice Minister?
Yeah, I mean, both I and my colleague Anna Soubry represents another Buddy location up in the Midlands, have been lobbying on behalf of Buddy with Chris Grayling and his officials. And, we probably need to return to the charge, having heard what Sarah has said.
We just had an email. Let me just read some of this email that's been sent in from Anne in St Albans. Iain, I was interested to hear Mr Knowsley's comments earlier. He mentioned that European rules were partly to blame for this company's woes. It's precisely this type of hidden legislation issued via directives from the EU that causes such anger on the part of UKIP. Every part of business life is affected by this. How much of it is Europe's fault, would you say, David?
I think one needs to go into the detail of this case before we have, established whether this is down to the need to follow overall rules on EU procurement or not. I don't want to jump the gun and sort of provide a detailed explanation for what's happened in Buddy's case without talking it through with Sarah and going into the detail. And actually, you look at what various European countries do, you can find ways in which to make sure that small and medium businesses get a fair deal and find it easier to get to grips with government contracting. And in fairness, this government, other governments in the past have made an effort to try to simplify their procurement processes to help small businesses. Now, clearly this has not gone right in Buddy's particular case. We need to look into the detail. I need to sit down with Sarah and her colleagues and talk this through, and then we need to take this further and learn the lessons and try and get an improvement.
David. We'll speak to you again in the future, no doubt. David Liddington, MP for Aylesbury. Would love to hear from you this morning if you are a small business. How difficult is it? Are you caught up in red tape and bureaucracy that makes it almost impossible to advance, to make any money, to grow? 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, there's... you're all right, Catherine. You're very talkative today, aren't you?
I'm just fueling you.
You, in many ways, Catherine, you do. You fuel me with the desire to strive for better.
To get out of here.
Yes, that's correct. That's pretty much. We've got some text on Michael Jackson. There's page 7, of the Sun. It's in some of the other papers. Anti-racism MP poses for pic with son blacked up like Jacko. You know it's bad, really, really. You see what they've done there? Yes. An anti-racism MP happily poses for a photo with his son, who is blacked up to look like Michael Jackson. Two things here. His son is massive. I mean, he's a big lad, both in height and indeed girth. Labour politician Ian Lavery, 51, was snapped with 25-year-old Ian Jr. Why would you...
So good they named him twice.
I don't get the junior thing anyway. It's an Americanism. We don't like that over here.
Or the second, they could have called him.
Yeah, well...
Ian Lavery the second.
Do you remember James Bond the Third?
No.
Do you not remember him?
No.
Who knows what programme he was in? He was in Tra-la-la-la-la, the Red Hand Gang.
Oh, I vaguely remember the Red Hand Gang.
OK, I'm a little bit younger than you, so I would have thought you would have done. Anyway, and also Ian is a dull name. It's a really dull name. Why wouldn't curse my children with the name Ian?
It's a safe name.
Yeah, exactly. He was anyway, it's a picture of his son blacked up like Michael Jackson.
Well...
as
the style of Michael Jackson.
As Maffin Hanslope says, how ironic, Jacko spent a fortune trying to look white. Barry says, the Jackson story, are we saying that only black people can fancy dress black celebrities? What a load of rubbish.
I think that is what is being suggested here.
I've mentioned this before. I was going to go on Stars in Their Eyes. I was offered to go on Stars in Their Eyes years ago, and I wanted to be Beyonce, and they said no. And I think they said they didn't want men being women, but they've had men being women, so it must have been a race.
They've had a Beyonce since as well, and he won, didn't he?
And also... I remember Ant and Dec blacking up as two old black women for their Saturday night takeaway. So I don't know. I don't think it's... as an employee of the BBC, I would probably think twice, 3 times, 4 times about it, because that stuff can be held against you by the Mirror and the Mail.
And we're not talking golly-type makeup either, are we, here? Because that clearly is...
I don't think it's that
not
racist.
On these days.
08459 455 555.
Plus...
Yes?
Listen, I'm from Manchester.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of my relatives, when they go out on a weekend...
Yeah.
They've got so much tan on, they pretty much are. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they're more like look more like Oompa Loompas. It's that orange kind of glow, isn't it? We'll do the busway text in a little bit. 08459 455 555 is the phone number. Would you go to a park? I guess the question is, would you black up? There's the question. For whatever reason. Fancy dress party. Well, what other reason would there be? I don't know. Well, I suppose there might be.
I remember at college, friends of mine going as the A-team, and there was a BA.
No. White guy's a BA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all thought it was hilarious, but not because he looked really like him, but not because it was a white guy blacking up. The blacking up wasn't the pivotal moment of that costume. I
remember Paul DeLake blacking up for a fancy dress party, and he did it with boot polish. Couldn't get it off. It's very, very black. Is it racist? 08459 455 555. Would you go to a party blacked up? And vice versa, if you're a black person, would you white up?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Let's have a look on the M25, anti-clockwise heavy through the roadworks 27 to 25, approaching Enfield, and then patchy delays from 21 all the way down to 15. That's the M1 down to the M4, we can see on camera. The M1 itself, very heavy, southbound 11 to 9, usual delays there, I would say, and it's usual congestion on the southbound A1M passing Stevenage. Busy into London also on the A1 from Stirling Corner to Mill Hill Circus. Chiltern trains in towards London disrupted because of a train that's broken down at Prince's Risborough. The southbound line is blocked, so trains may be delayed by up to half an hour or indeed cancelled. There's a half-hourly shuttle service running Aylesbury to Prince's Risborough, and buses also running Prince's Risborough to High Wycombe. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, James. Where's my heads? Where's my heads? Where's my heads? Where's my heads? Well, where's my heads? Shall I do the old heads? Shall I do the old heads? There's my heads. There's my heads. A Buckinghamshire firm is accusing the government of only being interested in big business after being forced to pull out of a bid to provide tags for criminals. The Aylesbury company Buddy withdrew, citing cost and bureaucracy after spending £2 million. £600 a week is being spent on a sign to deter motorists from using the Luton to Dunstable guided busway. The Borough Council blames drivers' stupidity. And in sport, Watford resumed championship action at Doncaster this evening in the football games.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Every weekday morning.
The shop didn't want to give me them back, so I went to the shop, paid them a fee to get my cylinders back.
The JVS show fights for your rights and tackles your consumer problems.
I went to speak to this company and I asked them what had happened. It took me absolutely ages to get through to anyone.
If you need our help, email jvsshow@bbc.co.uk.
After our last discussion about my cylinders, the governing body showed up at my house on the following day.
And we could do the same for you.
Thanks, Denise, and for the company for getting her cooker back up and running, here's your horn.
The JVS show, weekday mornings from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555 is the telephone number should you wish to give me a call. We're talking about this busway as well. We've had some busway texts. There's a sign that costs £600 a week. A week to basically tell drivers, don't drive down here. Don't drive here. Chris has texted in. If that sign is costing £600 a week, why not get rid of it and pay someone £300 a week to stand there with a red flag and a loud hailer? It would give someone a job and be a cost saving too. You could have two for £600 a week so they don't feel lonely doing it. Ian, maybe my maths is wrong, but if the cost is £600 and the fine is £1,000, then if only one person a week does it, that's £400 an idiot profit. Tax the thick. Math in Hanslope. Well, 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call about that, it does seem quite ridiculous. Would you want to stand there with a red flag and a loud hailer? £300 a week? Would you be up for that? You fancy doing that? Well, since it opened last year, there's been a steady trickle of motorists coming a cropper on the Luton to Dunstable busway. It's a busway. You're not supposed to drive there. It's obvious. £600 a week is being spent on the sign every week by Luton Borough Council. They'd claim they don't want to spend the money, but drivers ignoring previous warnings mean they have to. Well, our reporter Sophie Solaria is near the flashing matrix sign for us this morning. Morning, Soph.
Well, I was by the flashing matrix sign. I'm now on a bus, Ian, because it was getting a bit cold.
Oh, for goodness sakes, man up, woman. Have you caught anyone ignoring the sign this morning, Sophie?
Not yet, no, Ian. It's been quiet. Only buses on the busway this morning, but I have been told on authority that it does happen.
Oh, well, I get sent pictures of it almost every week.
Yeah, and people are less than impressed. I've been speaking to people this morning, and they want people to get a cheaper alternative to the sign, but don't drop the sign nonetheless, because there is an issue.
Well, I don't know why it needs to be £600. Why can't you just make a sign and put it there?
This is exactly what people are saying, or even hire somebody for £500 a week, somebody suggested, to stand there, and that's giving someone employment as well. Although I don't know what a person will be able to do.
Well, no, a person could stand there...
waving.
Yeah, just waving a flag. Say, oi!
Stop!
Oi! Oi! You muppet, you gone the wrong way, back!
Exactly.
Who are you with, Soph?
So I'm with Jay. He's a bus driver, a well-known bus driver to our show. He's a friend of the show, in fact. Jay, thanks for joining me this morning. You've been a bus driver on Luton roads for years, haven't you?
That's right, yeah.
And you drive on the busway a lot, don't you?
All the time.
So you're quite a good person, a voice of authority to tell us about incidents that you've seen in the past. What have you seen?
I've seen vans going up the wrong way of the busway. I've seen cars stranded on the busway. I've seen push bikes on the busway. I've seen kids playing chicken on the busway.
That's getting serious, isn't it?
Yeah. But as I say, I hear that the sign is a problem at the moment with the £600 a week, and I think it's worth the money in the long run, due to basically it's supposed to be keeping people off the busway, and if the council find the people that passed the sign, then they're going to recoup that money back.
Fair play, Jay. And also tell us a bit about the disruption that it causes you to have people on your busway?
Well, the problem it causes us, when the busway's shut, we have to go around the roadway. So then basically the express service we're supposed to run ends up being a normal bus service because we get held up by traffic.
Big question is, though, is the £600 sign working?
Yes, it's cut it down by well under half of the problems we had before. So, yeah, it's working. But as I say, if the council fine the people up to their £1,000 fine for going on there, then they'll recoup the money back for the sign. But then, as far as I am aware, the sign is just a temporary test. So if the test prove positive, I think the council will put their own sign up eventually.
There you go, Ian. So actually this is coming from somebody that experiences the problems on a daily basis and thinks the sign's worth it. Are you still there?
Yeah, Sophie, no, we weren't...
Were you even listening to me?
Not technically, no.
You weren't... Did you not hear my report?
I missed some of it. Could you do it? Who are you there with, Soph?
Ian. With Jay, he's the bus driver. Okay. He's a friend of the show and everything.
Sophie.
He's got to stop listening if you don't listen to us.
OK. Sophie Solaria is near the flashing matrix sign for us this morning. Sophie, have you caught anyone ignoring the sign?
No, Ian, I was at the flashing matrix sign.
Where are you now?
On a bus with Jay, the bus driver, who says there's been loads of people driving on the busway.
Did you catch anyone ignoring the sign?
Well, not personally, no.
Okay. You've been speaking to people about the cost of the sign. What have they had to say about it?
They said it was a really expensive sign. They said that they should get somebody else. I've done this.
Okay. Who are you there with, Soph?
I'm with Jay, the bus driver.
Away you go.
Ian. He's a friend of the show. I've done it already. He has to go. He's kicking me off the bus. Sorry, Jay.
What does Jay reckon about the sign?
Take more coffee.
Yeah.
He said take more coffee, Ian.
Yeah. What does Jay reckon about the sign?
Jay, do you like the sign?
Yeah, it's pretty.
See, he likes the sign.
Ask him, Sophie, what does he have to do when drivers drive up the busway?
So when the drivers drive up the busway, like you said earlier, what do you actually have to do?
Well, we have an interlink radio to head office, and we have to report it in. But then problem is when the cars are on the busway, and if a bus doesn't know it's on the busway and we pull behind the car, we can't reverse back on the busway. We can't reverse back with the buses.
There's no reversing backwards. Ian?
Sorry, right, Sorry, Sophie.
Ian!
So, since it opened in September last year, there's been a steady trickle of motorists coming a cropper on the Luton to Dunstable busway.
Wait,
so,
I'm being...
He
has to go...
A matrix sign. I'll come to you in a second. A matrix sign was installed at the New Bedford Road entrance to the guided busway to stop drivers coming a cropper. Well, it's been revealed £600 a week is being spent on the sign every week by Luton Borough Council. They don't want to spend the money, but drivers ignoring previous warnings mean they have to. Well, our reporter Sophie Solaria is near the flashing matrix sign for us this morning. Morning, Soph.
Right, off with bus. You ain't paid your fare. Come on, off.
I've now been evicted off a bus because of you.
I thought you were near the flashing sign.
You know I wasn't on the flashing sign. I've just been thrown off a bus like some common criminal, and it's because of you. This is supposed to be my career. This is my changing point to my life, and you're ruining it for me. People could be listening. Ian! Hello? Hello? I can't believe that Justin does this on a regular basis.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Seem to have lost Sophie there. We'll get back to her later on and find out what the latest is by the illuminated sign. Peter's in Wolverton. Morning, Peter.
Good morning, Ian. Please be with you.
Thank you, boss. What have you got for me today?
I heard yesterday that you were trimming your ear hair.
I shaved my earlobes and I shaved a little bit inside my ears, yes.
Well, don't do that. Pluck, because over a few years you will eventually overpluck and you won't have any more trouble. Just by shaving, you will increase the forest.
Oh, gosh. Am I going to get thick, hairy black ears?
Indeed, indeed. People will be able to see you coming miles away because you've got curlers in your ears.
Oh, man alive. I don't need that.
No.
Are you a plucker?
Indeed, indeed.
Steady.
Yeah, steady.
Good. Right. What else you got for me, Peter?
And the other thing, the sat-nav situation.
Oh, going up the busway, yeah.
Everybody blames the sat-nav. Now, why couldn't Luton Council, when they spent £50 million on constructing this situation, think ahead? There's going to be idiots that will blame the sat-nav. I have seen huge lorries get stuck down narrow roads in towns and country lanes. I was following the sat-nav. I once saw a coach on a hairpin bend in Wales rocking because it couldn't get round the hairpin bend, and it was full of passengers crying out loud. Oh, I was following the sat-nav. What a shame that people have not, that their common sense has gone out of the door and they just look upon an electronic device as a lifesaver.
My sat-nav is really, really old. It's probably about 9-10 years old, OK? So it's a big fat one, and all of the maps are out of date. So it hasn't got a lot of one-way streets. It hasn't got a lot of streets that have been closed off. And it's forever telling me to go the wrong way in one-way streets. And do you know what? I use common sense and I don't do it. I use the sat-nav as a guide. If I see a sign that says don't go up this road, I don't go up it.
But how many people, they put the sat-nav first and common sense last?
But, well, Peter, I know you're a very kind soul, but I'll say it for you. People are idiots.
Well, yes, thank you very much.
Peter, lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. If you're using a sat-nav, OK, you need to use common sense. Do people really just blindly follow their sat-navs and do exactly as they're told?
It's telling me to turn right.
No, yeah, well, it says, obviously he does. But most people, you use common sense, don't you? My sat-nav's constantly telling me to go the wrong way because it's so old. I'm not paying to update the maps. I use common sense. I look at the roads. The sat-nav's a guide, OK? It's not my master. 08459 455 555. Sat-navs, blacking up. We've got everything this morning, haven't we? Right, it's coming up to 7:29. Let's get the latest travel news now. Here's James.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thanks, Iain. And still problems for Chiltern trains heading from Bicester North and Aylesbury down through Princess Risborough towards London Marylebone. It's because of a train that's broken down, blocking the southbound line through Princess Risborough. Delays of up to a half an hour, and some trains may be cancelled. Rest of public transport looking good at the moment. On the roads, well, usual congestion on the M25, anti-clockwise 27 to 25 is very slow through the works, and then it's busy in patches from 21A all the way around towards 16 down to the M40. Usual congestion on the A1M passing Stevenage, southbound at 7. Biggleswade, well, the southbound stretch there, Biggleswade north to south, is very heavy on the sensors, and it's also busy into London at Mill Hill Circus. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, James.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Simon Oxley. A Buckinghamshire firm is accusing the government of only being interested in big business after being forced to pull out of a bid to provide tags for criminals. The Aylesbury company Buddy withdrew, citing cost and bureaucracy after spending £2 million. £600 a week is being spent on a sign to deter motorists from using the Luton to Dunstable guided busway. The Borough Council blames driver stupidity. And Malaysia Airlines says the focus for the search for the passenger plane which went missing over the weekend has now moved to the west coast of the country.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
An important night of football, certainly in the conference, where leaders Luton go to second place Cambridge. The Hatters are 15 points ahead. Manager John Still is looking at the bigger picture, though.
I understand, football supporters, the manager side of it is, I think it is different because all I want to do is win the league. Whether I beat Cambridge or don't beat Cambridge, of little interest to me.
Watford resumed championship action at Doncaster with Fernando Forestieri and Lewis McGugan set to return to the squad. Beppe Sannino's Hornets are 7 points from the playoffs with a game in hand.
To be honest, I don't know the table. I don't know how many points we have. I stressed in the past. In terms of Watford, I'm focused on the next game.
In League One, Dean Bowditch could start for the Milton Keynes Dons at bottom club Notts County after signing a new one-year contract. Carl Robinson's side are back in playoff contention with Peterborough at home on Saturday.
Now we've got to go to Notts County. It's massive now, big 48 hours for us as a football club, and I'm excited by what we can do. We've put ourselves in with the next 2 games being really important, and that's all I can ask of the group.
Stevenage hosts manager Graham Westley's former club Preston and will be without midfielder John Massinho, who's on loan from the visitors. And in League 2, Wickham will be without the injured Paris Cowan Hall and the suspended Josh Scowen for tonight's visit of Plymouth. And there's full commentary on Luton, Watford, MK Dons and Stevenage on tonight's Three Counties Sport from 7. In the Champions League, Arsenal go to Bayern Munich, trailing 2-0 from the first leg. In the Southern League Premier, third place St Albans drew 0-0 at Biggleswade last night. Tonight, leaders Hemel Hempstead host Cambridge City. Second place Chesham go to Burnham. And in racing, the Cheltenham Festival starts today with the feature race, the Champion Hurdle, at 3:20. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 8.
Oh, excuse me. No.
Cross beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Excuse me. But what's great about that is when we play the travel bed, it sets off an electronic signal. So loads of people have tuned to us by accident.
Quick, say something clever.
I know, we've got to do something good.
What can we do that's amazing?
Kathleen, I know she's on the phone.
Have you got a funny story?
Yes. Oh, nuts, we're going to lose them.
Oh, no. What about, is there anyone that you've met recently that's famous that might keep people interested?
Yeah, I mean, I was hanging out with Mick Jagger the other night. I wasn't. Anthea Turner, no, not even her.
Toby Anstis?
No.
Oh. Well, maybe we've got a good call that will keep them interested.
Let's hope so.
Oh, no, we haven't, but we do have someone else.
Let's try this then, thank you. 08459 455 555. Is it racist to black up? Young lad's blacked up as Michael Jackson at a birthday party. He's being accused of being a racist. What do you reckon, Leslie in Luton?
No, good morning here. No, I don't think it's racist. These people that comes out with these sort of argument every time, especially on your radio and on other radios, they are white people that comes out with these argument that they don't know much about black people. They don't know nothing about black people. To a black person, that wouldn't matter. You know, a black person wouldn't bother about that, right? And this again, racist. You remember the film called White Chick?
White Chicks. I've not seen White Chicks. No.
Well, with the two black guys, they are twin. I think they're Wayne or Dwayne, one of them.
Yes. What happens in White Chicks?
They blacked up. Sorry, they white up.
Oh.
I mean, with as two white blonde girls.
Okay, like Lenny Henry did in True Identity.
Yeah. Would you call that racist?
I would not call that racist. No.
Exactly. So why a white person want to black to go to a fun party and it became racist? And who are saying these things are racist? Because to black people, we wouldn't bother. We wouldn't give a monkeys about it. We're not bothering silly little things.
Is the intent behind it partly what could make it racist? This fella, it seems, he's just gone to a party and he's blacked up as Michael Jackson.
Yeah, but
if he had done it with malice and was doing, kind of, I don't know if you remember, Jim Davidson had a comedy character called Chalky.
Yeah, which I did not like. Well,
if
he got away with it.
If this gentleman was doing a Chalky voice, would that make it more offensive? Do you think?
If he was doing it very badly,
he'd have to do a good Chalky.
Yeah, if he was doing it very badly, yes, it would.
Why didn't you like the Chalky character of Jim Davidson?
Because Jim Davidson was a racist. He even I've been in this country for a long time, and he even turned around and said,
well,
he done some racist jokes in the past.
Okay, let's just be careful because Mr. Davidson's not here to defend himself, and I'm sure he would probably deny being a racist. So let's just be careful with the accusations. But was the character of Chalky racist?
Well, he was a white guy. Don't know nothing. He couldn't even speak the accent anyway. Right?
But that doesn't make it racist. Does that make it racist that Jim Davidson couldn't do the accent properly? Yes, Leslie.
Ian, in those days, everyone was at the bandwagon. There were Irish people, there was English people who knocking Irish people, knocking Chinese people. It was a culture in them days.
Did that mean it was okay?
No, it wasn't okay. We all ate it, but there wasn't anyone, the BBC or the ITV or whatever station, weren't cracking down on these things in them days because it was a culture.
Leslie, I'm guessing from your voice that you are black.
I'm a Jamaican.
You're Jamaican. How did it make you feel in the 70s and the 80s seeing that kind of humour on mainstream television?
Very, very angry.
Tell me why.
Because white people was the only one that can go and get away with these things. You didn't see black people imitated white people or any other race.
And is there a difference? You mentioned the hit comedy White Chicks. What's the difference between what they were doing and what, say, for example, Jim Davison was doing?
Well,
I know there is a difference. I'm just trying to clarify.
Yeah, it is a big difference. What they were doing, they were playing a part with decent taste.
Mm.
Right? There wasn't any part of racism or trying to be someone that they ain't.
Well, they were trying to be two white women, which they ain't.
But
they're two black men.
That was only a temporary cause because
temporary situation.
They were in some sort of detective play scene.
Oh, so they were detectives undercover.
Yes.
Okay, so they whited down.
Yes.
Okay. Leslie, I really appreciate your thoughts on this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Leslie in Luton there. Now, he's a black man saying it's not racist to black up as Michael Jackson. And I don't think it is. It is quite often white middle-class people that go, oh, no! Oh, no, you can't do that. That's so offensive to black people. Interesting. Thank you, Leslie. 08459 455 555. What are your thoughts on it? I don't think it is that bad. I mean, it looks a bit silly. Is it that bad? If he's not going around doing the chalky voice, then it's not that bad, is it? 08459 455 555. Dawn says that surely if that's racist, then surely it's offensive to wear a blonde wig or mimic anyone. What is so offensive about black skin? And Veggie Ian from Milton Keynes. Oh, I'm vegetarian. Turned vegetarian for a couple of weeks while I'm a meat eater. If I stay a meat eater, he does know he has to stay vegetarian, doesn't he? That's been explained to him. I hope so. He says, I don't see anything wrong with blacking up. I think people just get oversensitive. And Ian is a stupid name. You're right, Ian. And by the way, your little baby is beautiful. We've seen all the pictures.
Ian, we need to talk about Ian.
Why?
He seems to be surviving on fried eggs.
Well, that's his
Not
problem.
the idea, is it?
That's his problem.
I'm worried about his health. If he spends a week eating fried eggs and something happens, we liable?
You are.
Well, it wasn't my idea.
Well, I know, but...
And is she this upset the universal balance?
I don't remember if you remember Ross and Brand. Ross stayed and the producer didn't.
I don't think anyone stayed, did they?
Ross stayed longer than anybody else.
Oh.
So Kelly,
Ross in this scenario.
Kelly needs to do a Brand and resign, because that's very dignified.
Okay.
And you'll get moved on somewhere else.
Okay. Ian, don't just eat fried eggs. Can we please get some better recipes for Ian?
All right. Don't need to have fried eggs.
For me.
Maybe you could have...
Not for Ian, for me.
Maybe you could have fried egg and chips.
Yesterday he had a fried egg bap, and then he had fried eggs with the chips and beans.
You can get egg bound though, can't you? That's bad for you.
Yes, you can.
Carpet Martin suggested chips on toast again.
Oh, chips sandwich.
Be overloading on beige.
My boys, I treated my boys at the weekend. They like their eggs. I bought them a goose egg.
Ooh.
Oh,
Does that taste a little bit?
No, it tastes goosey. Goosey gander. It's nice. It's massive. They couldn't believe it when they got goose eggs in front of you. You have to boil it for 10 minutes.
Right, and does it taste different, or is it just like an egg?
It's just an egg.
You know, like
really.
goat's cheese and real cheese, cow's cheese.
It
tastes a bit goaty.
I think it tasted different, but I think that was just my imagination. It was a massive egg. It's the size of this mug.
Is the yolk orange?
No, it's green. Like their poo. This is the weird thing, right? Goose yolk is green, not like bright green, kind of like a sort of muddy green, like their poo.
Oh, that's why it's called Goose Green in Nottingham.
Exactly, that's what it's named after. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Roger's on the line. Morning, Roger.
Good morning, sir.
What have you got for me?
Navigation systems.
Yes, the old satellite navigational system, sir. Yes, check.
Oh, one piece of technology in modern life where we've forgotten it's a tool and we've given over large chunks of our inherent intelligence
Yes, sir.
to a piece of plastic and some electronics.
Yep.
I have one feature on my very primitive, by comparison, navigation system. It just points me at my target.
What do you mean it just points you?
Orientation, that's all it does. Over there, it says.
So it doesn't give you the roads or anything?
Well, it can. It's an extra feature. I can navigate, and it will tell me to turn left and right and all the normal...
Well, it's like the map system on Grand Theft Auto or something like that. Just, you're going that way, son. Go on, best of luck.
Well, quite. I mean, yes, it has a map. It shows me the streets, various resolutions depending, but basically it's got a line that says your target's that way.
Do you ever get the French woman doing the voice?
No, if anything, I'd probably put the German one on.
Oh, really?
On account of my personal relationship situation.
Are you...
Meine Frau ist Deutsche.
Oh, ja, das ist sehr gut, ja. Ja, das ist einfach klasse, ja.
Wunderbar, ja.
Ja, ich wohne in Slough, das ist in Südostengland. Ich bin 13 Jahre alt.
Ich möchte ein Erdbeereis ohne Sahne, bitte.
Entschuldigung, wie komme ich am besten zum neuen Rathaus?
Ja,
zum neuen Rathaus ist über die Kreuzung, auf der linken Seite, ja? Oh, danke schön, bitte.
You realise you're losing audience in droves.
Yeah, but we're getting the German audience, Roger. That's what we want,
yes,
the German...
Punt.
No,
Guten Morgen, Deutschland, yeah.
Yeah,
Entschuldigung,
Yeah?
would you get to the point, please?
OK. Roger, anything else, or shall I cut you off? We'll cut him off. Good call. Thank you, Roger. Always nice to show off a little bit of German. Now, ladies, question. Hoping it will elicit an answer, response, that I can then, in my own way, respond to, thereby instigating conversation. Do you know much about geocaching?
Yes.
No.
I was going to start with you first, Kelly. That scuppered things a little bit. Kelly, you're out.
Oh.
Catherine, you're through to the second round. What is it?
Fun orienteering.
For orienteering?
Fornienteering.
That's something else. That's when you take a blanket into the woods. Now, so, because my friend is Scott, he keeps banging on. He says, come on, mate, do you want to go geocaching? I go with my 5-year-old son, but he really slows me down.
Oh, competitive. I thought it was supposed to be fun.
Well, isn't it just you get given a grid reference, right, or on your phone, and you go, and then you find a box, but there's no treasure in there. It's just a note saying, well done, you found the box.
It's just bragging rights.
Well, it's a real-world treasure hunt. Actually.
Oh, yeah.
It's happening right now. This is off the top of my head. It's happening all around us. And
I thought you didn't know about it, Kelly.
No, I thought you meant something else.
Oh, OK, go on, carry on.
I do know about it.
Carry on.
That's all I know. Oh, no, actually,
on the homepage.
I've just...
Scroll down a bit.
Do know some more. You can upgrade to geocaching. Is that what it's called?
No.
Premium. You can...
OK.
Geocaching, that sounds fun.
Dear, that sounds... Dearie me. I mean, the things we have to put up with. Any of the new listeners we would have got, A, from me setting off the travel signal, and B, Roger speaking auf dem Deutsch. We've lost now.
You can press off the travel signal again now.
No, I don't do that. I'll get terrible. Oh, I should do it. I will, actually, yeah. No, I won't. Hang on. So, is it worth doing, or is it just two blokes traipsing around a field looking for bits of paper under a tree?
Are you going with Scott?
Well...
That's exactly what it'll be.
Oh, I'm not bothered then.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, problems on the clockwise M25. We've just been told about an accident earlier between 25 and 26. Can't see it on camera, but we understand that the carriageway was down to just one lane, and it is fully open now, but it's left quite a queue on that clockwise M25 through the roadworks. Anti-clockwise 27 to 25, usual congestion there, and then it's very busy anti-clockwise in patches from 21A all the way down to 16 towards the M40. Usual heavy traffic on the M1, southbound 12 to 11, Flitwick to Dunstable. A1M's very busy passing Stevenage on the London-bound side, and busy into London, Stirling Corner down to Mill Hill Circus. Chiltern, an update now on their problems down towards London because of a train that's broken down at Princess Risborough. The southbound line is blocked, and as a result, delays of up to half an hour, or indeed cancelled trains this morning. There is a shuttle service running Aylesbury to Princess Risborough, and buses are running High Wycombe to Princess Risborough this morning. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank Thank you very much. 7:46 or thereabouts. It's Tuesday, the 11th of March. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A Buckinghamshire firm is accusing the government of only being interested in big business after being forced to pull out of a bid to provide tags for criminals. The Aylesbury company Buddy withdrew, citing cost and bureaucracy, after spending £2 million. £600 a week is being spent on a sign to deter motorists from using the Luton to Dunstable guided busway. And in sport, Watford resumed championship action at Doncaster this evening. The Hornets are 7 points from the playoffs with a game in hand. Let's get the weather. Here's Kate.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. It's a rather grey and cloudy start to the day, but the cloud overnight kept things relatively mild. The temperature outside at the moment ranging between 4 and 7 Celsius, so relatively warm. The cloud's not budging too far very quickly, and we've hung on to that northeasterly breeze, so actually it's going to feel fairly chilly as we head through the day. Maximum temperature getting up to 11 Celsius, 52 degrees in Fahrenheit. Now, further through the afternoon, we should start to see the cloud thin. We'll get some brightness, maybe even a break or two leading to some sunshine. Now, overnight, that cloud will continue to disappear, leaving clear spells. That's going to allow the temperature to drop and also mist and fog patches to form. The more rural locations likely to get down to 0, so we could actually get a sparkle or two of frost tomorrow morning, but also this mist and fog will linger at first as we head into Wednesday. Eventually, it will start to lift. Behind it, dry, mostly sunny, and looking like the wind is going to fall lighter tomorrow as well, which means the temperature is going to climb. It's going to really feel quite pleasant tomorrow with a maximum of 14 Celsius. That's 57 degrees in Fahrenheit. And that's your forecast.
Thank you very much.
Tonight, the top two in the conference go head-to-head.
Still going there, Andre Gray, and scores! Oh, it's so easy for Andre Gray.
Luton make the short trip to Cambridge, knowing a win will extend their advantage over their nearest rivals.
And I know that if I can just keep things as they are, we give ourselves the best opportunity, and that's what I want to do.
We'll also have commentary on Watford, MK Dons and Stevenage.
And that one does find the net.
All 4 games live in Three Counties Sport.
Sydney goes for the top corner. What a goal that is!
Tonight from 7 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Now, we had a call about this this morning, and it's a story we've been following closely. We've spoken before about the community bus service in Luton, which used to be provided by Dial a Ride. Well, you may remember that I was trying to broker a deal between the leader of the Borough Council, Hazel Simmons, and the provider of Dial a Ride, Dave Barrett. And they even got them to have a cup of coffee together. Well, the lack of funding has still not been resolved, and last night councillors decided to... Well, I've got no idea, Councillor Mahmood Hussain, because your press guy was supposed to send us a statement of what happened, and he didn't. So what happened last night?
Well, morning, first of all. What happened last night, we had 3 options that we had to make a choice. Can I explain to you? I mean, obviously, your listeners would appreciate that we've got about a 50% cut in our budget.
What happened last night, Mahmood?
So we've taken the decision that we will be going for the option where we have got about £11,000 available, and asking some of the voluntary sector or any of the providers to come up with some ideas where those people that do not receive social care, so we can provide them some sort of transport.
So hang on, who are you asking for ideas?
We're asking for a number of voluntary sector organisations as well as any other providers who can start up a service with the funding that we're offering.
So it doesn't sound like you come up with anything, really, then. You're trying to fob it off to someone else. Is that right?
Well, not fob it off to somebody else. I mean, we are putting up about 11,000 to start up with something that they can, provide a service in the future. We haven't got any funding at all in our budget.
But it does leave a lot of vulnerable people without transport, doesn't it? How can you justify that, Mahmood?
Well, we're not justifying anybody, who's receiving it. We will be looking at reviewing everybody's needs. There are people that are using these services who do have a social care needs as well, and they're receiving a social care. Those that receive social care, that is a statutory service. By law, we have to provide.
What about the people...
We'll continue to guarantee providing those people with the service.
What about the people who don't get that social care but will now be stuck in their homes?
That's the one that we are looking at. We're continuing the service till May. In the meantime, we are looking at what alternatives that can be found, and that's when the final decision will be made.
Okay, but you're quite happy with the prospect of vulnerable people being stuck in their homes?
Of course I'm not happy. I would never be. It's a choice. Do I close a one-day centre for the elderly or the people with a learning disability, or continue with, it is very difficult choices. I would hate to make a choice like that.
Mahmood
The
Hussain...
reality of the world is that our funding has been cut by the government, and we don't have the money.
Mahmood Hussain, Labour councillor on Luton Borough Council. Stay there for a second. I'm joined in the studio by Dave Barrett from South Bed's Dial-A-Ride. Dave, what did you make of what happened last night?
I'm amazed what's happened, Iain, over the last 6 months. This is absolutely savage cut. This has been blamed on government cutbacks, and Councillor Hussain just reiterated the figure of 50% cuts. The cut in this service, however, in 6 months has been 92%. It's come down from over 130,000 of support down to 11. Which will be running from 2014. That 11 effectively, according to my calculations, buys the equivalent of one bus for 1 day a week. So your point about how many people are going to be left at home is very, very valid indeed. There's going to be hundreds.
Mahmood makes a good point, though. If he's got the choice, he's in an awkward position, isn't he? He's got the choice of closing a daycare centre or closing something else or cutting down on this bus service.
Well, another choice that he could possibly make is removing that sign that you've been talking about that's costing £30,000 a year, because that would triple the budget that is being planned for community transport in Luton for 2014. It'd triple it at a stroke with one sign.
Mahmood?
Well, can I just say, I'm not too sure what the sign we're talking about, but...
The sign at the Luton to Dunstable busway that costs £600 a week.
The busway, can I, and repeating myself, that busway funding was given by the government only for busway alone. We couldn't use that funding for anything else.
But the sign, I don't think, the sign hasn't come... The sign is being funded by Luton Borough Council at the cost of £600 a week.
What I'm saying is that there's been a lot of controversy in terms of the safety, and we have to take that into consideration, and that's probably one of the reasons. I'm not very familiar what sign we're talking about.
In neighbouring councils, Mahmood, Central Beds and Bedford, people were asked to contribute to the service. Why didn't you look into that option?
Well, we are looking at that, and, if it is economically... It's no use asking people to pay for something which costs so much that they can't afford to continue. We are looking at all the alternatives before the final decision is made. That's one of the reasons we have extended the service till May. But what Dave Barrett is saying, we would have continued the Dial-A-Ride service until April this year. We were prepared to fund that, but it was the decision, and I was present at that meeting when the trustees of Dial-A-Ride, persuaded by Mr. Barrett, decided to stop the service and given us a 48 hours notice.
Let's put that point
That is the reality, and that is the truth.
Mahmood, let's put that point to Dave Barrett, because he's here. Dave?
Well, I've been to a number of meetings with Councillor Hussain over the last number of months, and he... I'm yet to see a form of leadership that is taking this forward in a way that's going to help elderly people. I'm very, very concerned for these people that are going to be left home. There are hundreds of people that will not be making thousands of journeys because of this.
Well, it's easy to talk about numbers and things. Let's put a voice to this. We're joined on the line now by a gentleman who wants to be called Keith. Keith, you use this bus service. Tell me what your concerns are.
Well, my concerns are quite clear. That we had a very good service. Luton Borough Council, as usual, destroyed something that's good. And the lead councillors, and I underline the lead councillors, are not fit to function, any one of them.
How important, Keith, is this bus service in your life?
It's vital. It is a lifeline.
Tell me why.
Well, I can't go... I'm told, we're all being told, 800 to 900 passengers in Luton that use Dial-A-Ride. It is our lifeline. We're told to be independent, go shopping, go to your bank, go to whatever shopping you need, and everything, and go to the dental clinic. Can't do any of that now, thanks to Luton Borough Council, who are not fit to function.
Mahmood?
Yeah, can I answer? I mean,
What's your response to what Keith just said?
I passionately care for the service, and what I would say to you that we will continue to do our best to be able to offer an alternative service that we can. In terms of the funding, we do not have the budget to continue the service.
It's his lifeline, Mahmood. It's his lifeline. It's his contact with the outside world.
We will be looking at all the alternatives, assessing everybody's needs, and those that receive the social care. There are a number of people, nearly half of them, receive some sort of social care, which are entitled to have that as a statutory right.
Mr. Hussain, what about those that don't receive that social care but are dependent on the bus?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Don't you have a responsibility to those people?
Yes, of course we do, and we will continue to look at the alternatives. We are asking the voluntary sector to help us. At the end of the day, we will not leave anybody vulnerable to it. But the choices are very difficult because, do I close this day centre for the learning disability?
Okay.
That's the choice.
You've made that, Dave. You laughed at the point when Mr. Hussain said they won't leave people vulnerable. You don't believe that?
I don't believe it at all. I mean, the figures are just stack the whole thing up. 92% cut in this service. There are people going to suffer. There are people who've been suffering the last 6 months. The interim service has not been successful. I mean, one of the quotes I wrote down from Councillor Hussain last night when we were in the actual meeting, when he said, "We do not have the luxury of discretionary services." So this is not only for this discretionary service almost the writing on the wall, but watch out every other discretionary service in Luton.
Are you worried that this is? I mean, he's saying the service will carry on until the end of April. Are you worried that this is it? That the end of April is gone?
Oh, absolutely. This is the end. I mean, it was probably the end a number of months ago. As Councillor Hussain is explaining now, there is no plan for the 1st of May. There is nothing to follow this other than 11,000 quid that is not going to go very far to a voluntary sector that's not yet been identified and a service that's not yet been fully outlined.
Let's put the final word to you, Keith. What would you like to say?
Well, I would like to say, and the question I would put to the nominal council, how is it that Central Bedfordshire can provide a very good service through the excellent services of Dial-A-Ride? Bedford Borough can run a door-to-door service free to disabled people, and yet Luton, as usual, cannot do a damn thing and doesn't want to.
Mahmood, you've got 30 seconds to answer that, please.
Can I just say that our cuts are far worse than Central Beds and Bedford Borough. We are grant dependent on the government, which is why we are affected far worse than anybody. But I again promise you that we will do everything in our power to look after any vulnerable.
You do get quite a lot of money from Luton Airport, don't you?
Yes, we do, and we use it to protect services.
Okay. But Councillor, I'm really sorry to cut you short. We have to end it there. We're out of time. I hope you feel that you got your point across there. That's Councillor Mahmood Hussain. Thank you to Keith, not his real name. Dave, thank you very much for coming in. No doubt we'll speak about this at some point in the future.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The clockwise M25 is still partially blocked at the approach to junction 26 Waltham Abbey with a serious accident, we're being told. We had been told that both lanes, all lanes were open. That's not the case. 2 lanes still shut. That's causing some lengthy queues from junction 25. Southbound A10 as a result is queuing, we've seen on the speed sensors. And the A1 has 1 lane blocked southbound between the Sandy roundabout and the Radwell turn. It's because of overrunning roadworks. The southbound A1 is very busy, and Chiltern trains delay still through Princes Risborough. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, James. Gosh, suddenly it's 8 o'clock. Lots to talk about, including, well, £600 a week on a sign to stop idiot drivers driving up a busway. And is it racist to black up these days? Speak to you after the news with Simon.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. The headlines. Aylesbury Company criticises the government. Search for missing plane continues. And Bedfordshire Chief Constable's pledge over inquiry into alleged assault.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A Buckinghamshire firm is accusing the government of only being interested in big business after being forced to pull out of a bid to provide tags for criminals. The Aylesbury Company Buddy withdrew, citing cost and bureaucracy after spending £2 million. The company's chief executive, Sarah Murray, says the winning bid will be more expensive than they would have been.
The government has signed a new contract with Capita to continue with G4S and Serco tags, so the same tags that are currently being used. They'll be used for at least another year. If we were to provide the newer technology, which actually works and provides locations, we'd do it for less than half of what is being charged.
In the past hour, police in Kuala Lumpur say they've identified one of the men who travelled on the missing Malaysian Airlines plane with a stolen passport. He's a 19-year-old Iranian, not thought to have any terrorist links. Malaysia Airlines says the focus for the search has now moved to the west coast of the country. Professor Graham Braithwaite is from the School of Engineering at Cranfield University.
An aircraft like the 777 is used across the world. It's a very popular aircraft type, and there's just no way we would accept not finding this aircraft. So even if it takes years, it will be done. It's conceivable it could take that time to recover wreckage. We saw that in the case of the Air France 447 accident a few years ago. I think that's unlikely. I think if it will be found, then something will be found relatively quickly.
Bedfordshire's Chief Constable says the investigation into an alleged assault by two officers on a vulnerable man in Luton will be thorough and impartial. Colette Paul says the case of Farouk Ali will be investigated by Leicestershire Constabulary to ensure, in her words, a transparent investigation by a team unconnected to Bedfordshire Police. The Chief Constable will be on this programme in the next hour. Meanwhile, police control rooms in Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire and Cambridgeshire could be run by one force HQ to save millions of pounds, the BBC has learned. It's understood the centre for the three could be based at Huntingdon, the headquarters of Cambridgeshire Police. Combining the three could save up to £7 million. The plan was due to be made public in April. MPs will vote on a controversial measure this afternoon which would give the Health Secretary greater powers to close local hospital services. Labour claims that Bedford and Milton Keynes hospitals would be placed at risk. £600 a week is being spent on a sign to deter motorists from using the Luton to Dunstable guided busway. The Borough Council blames driver stupidity. These people say it's too much.
Maybe 1 in 1,000 will occasionally go up. They can put some illuminated sign, small one, instead of this display, which is totally waste of revenue.
But that sign doesn't even work. Like, if they're paying 600 quid a week, that sign should do its job, but it's not even doing its job, so they might as well take it off.
Put an ordinary one up there and paint on it, say don't go up there, rather than the flashing one.
In sport, conference leaders Luton go to second place Cambridge tonight as they close in on automatic promotion. The Hatters are 15 points clear. Cambridge manager Richard Money has conceded Luton will win the title. The weather mostly cloudy this morning, sunny spells developing this afternoon, a maximum temperature 14 degrees Celsius, and you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
It looks like an extremely historic village. There's lots of ancient buildings, fascinating looking buildings.
Inviting everyone to where you live.
It just is still so quaint. It hasn't been overbuilt.
All this week, we're featuring Wheat Hampstead.
Come and look at the old buildings, because they're very old.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's 4 minutes past 8. It's nearly home time for me. I say home time. Breakfast time is what it'll be. I'll be eating a nice big posh breakfast somewhere. I'm not telling you where, in case you all try and come. No. Lots coming up between now and 9 o'clock, including Bedfordshire Chief Constable Colette Paul will be telling me how she's dealing with the allegations that two of her officers assaulted a man with the mental age of 5. An Aylesbury firm is accusing the government of only being interested in big business after being forced to pull out of a bid to provide tags for criminals. And the Luton to Dunstable busway is at the centre of another row. Electronic sign costing £600 a week. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333, start your text 3CR, or give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
But before of that. For some reason, we're talking about geocaching. Lynn, are you a fan of the geocache?
It can be quite good fun. The children one is quite fun.
So explain to me, my friend Scott is determined he wants me to do it. I think it sounds rather dull. What happens?
Well, you get a grid reference and then you have a nice walk.
Oh, gosh.
You look for finding the geocache.
Two of my least favourite things, grid references and nice walks.
It's good for children. It gets them out into the fresh air and then they get a prize at the end because the children's geocache usually have something fun in it, like a sticker book or and pencils and things.
And so, what happens if someone gets there before you and takes it before you?
Well, the geocachers amongst themselves are pretty good, and they usually, if you take something from a geocache, you put something back.
What? It's like the honour system in W.H. Smith's, and that didn't work.
Well, it seems to work in the geocache. I've never been to one where there's nothing, and children are disappointed.
Is there? So we know there are children's geocaches. Are there? How can I phrase this?
Yes.
Adult geocaches.
Yes, there are, and they're usually just you just put. There's a piece of paper in there, and you just put Great Walk or whatever.
Oh, okay. Great Walk.
Not quite. You don't get such a treat.
And is it buried in? I imagine it being buried under under a tree or something.
Yeah, it usually is somewhere. So it's not within sight. You have to look for it.
Oh, so you can't. You don't dig or anything.
No. It's usually tucked under a hedge or something.
Oh dear. It really sounds tedious.
One is I'm not a fan of the but when my little boy was little, we used to do it quite a bit, and it was quite fun because it makes you get out and walk.
Oh, getting out and walking is incredibly overrated. I find, Lynn.
No, it's lovely. Nature out.
Have you got any lined up, Lynn? Any geocaches lined up?
No, I haven't because my son's older now, but. We tend to go, different things now. But when he was little, it was great fun.
Lynn, thank you very much indeed. You've not quite sold it to me, but thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Now, an Aylesbury company says that red tape has forced it to pull out of a huge deal to supply criminal tags to the Ministry of Justice. But while Buddy's questioning the government's commitment to small business, no one's doubting its enthusiasm for bulky black anklets, tags. With prison space at a premium, it seems tagging is the future, and that's certainly the view of the Police and Crime Commissioner, Ollie Martins, who joins me in the studio. Morning, Ollie.
Hi, Ian.
You've been piloting a scheme tagging people before they burgle. How does that work?
Well, we've got what's called integrated offender management in the county, which is...
integrated offender management?
Yeah.
OK.
It brings together the police, probation, council, voluntary sector, all working together on some of the most persistent and prolific offenders in the county, and if you bear in mind that about 20% of offenders cause 80% of crime, these are the people that IOM is working with.
Yeah.
And part of the work that they do is the voluntary use of GPS tagging. And it's voluntary because currently the legal situation is that it can't be used compulsorily. Now, one of the things that I've been pushing for since I became Commissioner is that we should be able to do it compulsorily, and that's what this government programme, the retendering that they're currently doing, was meant to deliver. Because currently the only tags that you can use compulsorily are radio frequency tags, which enforce curfews.
Right.
But they don't track offenders when they're moving around.
So with the ones that you're using, you can you can log in and you can see, oh look, Steve.
That's right.
Steve the knife's over there, and Tony Fingers is there. But you can see exactly where they are.
You can.
Wow. It's voluntary though. So does it work in that case? Because if you're volunteering to wear them, then you're obviously intent on making a lifestyle change.
Yes, that's right. That is right. But we looked at a group of 14 offenders who were responsible for a total of 459 crimes before they were tagged. Only one of them went off the straight and narrow while he was tagged.
Oh dear.
And he was only responsible for 3 offences.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's with the people who are saying that they want to change, but it had a dramatic effect that I think you might not get quite the same dramatic effect using it compulsorily, but I think it would make a big difference, significant difference. And so it is frustrating that the government is insisting on this massive bureaucratic exercise, this massive tendering that Buddy haven't been able to cope with as a small and medium-sized enterprise, and it's not delivering. the longer we go on, I would say there's an argument that we're getting people who are becoming unnecessarily victims of crime because we're not making the best use of this technology that is available and that we could roll out today.
We'll speak about Buddy in a second. What are the ethics of making it compulsory? If someone you know has offended in the past, but making them wear a tag...
Well, this would be as part of a court disposal.
Okay,
so they would be going to court, they would be convicted, and part of the sentence would be that they would have to wear a tag. The other circumstances where it would be very useful and where the police have been pushing for it is for people who get bailed. But again, we're talking about people who are persistent and prolific offenders. Some of these people who are caught up in the revolving door of the criminal justice system, where they just go round and round through the criminal justice system. I really believe that tagging would help break that revolving door of the criminal justice system, and that's why it's so important that we get it as soon as possible. Do
you think the government has messed up with this and the way that they've treated Buddy, that who've spent £2 million and they've got nothing to show for it?
Yeah, I do. I think the government are messing up big style here by insisting on this national monopoly for tagging. We've got 36 police forces up and down the country who are already using buddy tagging, and that's why I say we could, if the government allowed police commissioners to get on with this, we could deliver it like tomorrow. But they're not. They're going through this massive bureaucratic national tendering exercise that it may not deliver. They may not even start piloting the use of these devices for another year. That's a year of people becoming victims of crime when I believe they don't have to.
While we've got you here, we're going to be speaking to your Chief Constable, Colette Paul, a little bit later on. She's written an open letter to the community following the alleged mistreatment of Faruqa Ali, who we spoke about last week. It's alleged that this gentleman who's got the mental age of a 5-year-old was attacked by police officers. Do you take any credit for the open letter that Colette Paul's written?
Well, I think it's been clear from the outset that the Chief Constable takes this very seriously, wants to see it properly investigated, wants to reassure people that, Bedfordshire Police are dealing on a daily basis with vulnerable people and are very focused on protecting the public, and that's what Bedfordshire Police and the Chief Constable want to do.
Have you been speaking to Colette Paul recently?
I speak to Colette Paul a lot, as it happens.
Have you spoken
yes.
to about this?
Well, we had a meeting yesterday. It's part of the, where I openly sort of on the record hold her to account. And we had a lengthy discussion about this, and the minutes of that will be getting published.
Okay, but what was the basic? The theme behind it? What's the plan? I believe the two officers, they were still walking the streets, but not in Luton. Now they've been taken off. They won't be in contact with members of the public while this is being investigated. Is that right?
That's correct. There's been a change in their restriction, yes, but this is an operational issue, and you're best off asking the Chief Constable about that.
Ollie, nice to see you. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There we go. 08459 455 555. We will be speaking to Bedfordshire Chief Constable Colette Paul a little bit later on to find out what is happening in that investigation into the accusations that two police officers attacked, punched, pushed a gentleman with autism who has the mental age of a 5-year-old. And as you just heard there, the two officers who have been accused of this, they were still on the streets, face-to-face with the public, not in Luton, but they've now since been, given what office positions, desk jobs, I don't know. But they won't be meeting the public quite so much. 08459 455 555. Is it racist to black up? There's a picture on page 7 of The Sun of an MP's son who's blacked up as Michael Jackson. Kevin says on Facebook, can't be racist. Michael Jackson wasn't racist for whiting himself up. Gary Henderson says, racist this, racist that, bloody sick of it. Is Gary a black gentleman who's sick of racism, or a white man who's sick of people going on about racism? I don't know. Claire says, no, it's not racist, it's just a fancy dress costume. Like a man dressing as a woman for a fancy dress party doesn't mean they are a transvestite. I don't follow that logic. Do you follow that logic, Catherine? Let me read that again. Not racist, it's a fancy dress costume. Like a man dressing as a woman for a fancy dress party doesn't mean they're a transvestite. No, the equivalent... No, because that would then mean that he isn't a black man. The equivalent would be a man dressing like a woman for a fancy dress party doesn't mean they're a misogynist. I think. Kelly?
Sexist.
Nothing wrong with being sexy. And Sue says, what about all the multicoloured Elvises we find everywhere? Black, white and anything in between. Racist? Nah, just a bit of fun. Uh-huh.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the clockwise M25, 2 lanes are shut on the approach to junction 26, Waltham Abbey, because of an accident involving 2 lorries and a car. It's been quite a serious accident, and that's causing queues already from junction 24. The A10, as a result, very slow southbound on the approach to the M25 at 25. Back onto the M25, while anti-clockwise, patchy delays, or patchy slow traffic rather, from the M1 down towards the M40. The southbound M1's moving quite well now, but the A1, well, the roadworks at Biggleswade have been cleared, but still delays on the southbound A1M and also into London approaching Mill Hill Circus. Chiltern trains, 15-minute delays via Princes Risborough on the southbound line. The southbound line is open, but with delays still. And as for the Piccadilly line, minor delays into London from Cockfosters to Wood Green. James Worley, BBC, Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, James. 8:16. It's Tuesday the 11th of March. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A Buckinghamshire firm is accusing the government of only being interested in big business after being forced to pull out of a bid to provide tags for criminals. The Aylesbury company Buddy withdrew, citing cost and bureaucracy after spending £2 million. £600 a week is being spent on a sign to deter motorists from using the Luton to Dunstable guided busway. The Borough Council blames driver stupidity. And in sport, Watford resume championship action at Doncaster this evening. The Hornets are 7 points from the playoffs with a game in hand. Oh, it sounds very, very tense, and it doesn't.
BBC Three Counties Radio. BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
The village itself is quite ancient. The original settlement here was 2,000 years ago.
Inviting everyone to where you live.
The village is very special.
The community is just so cohesive. It does so much together.
And all this week, we're featuring Wheat Hampstead.
It looks like an extremely historic village. There's lots of fascinating looking buildings.
If you've got a story everyone should hear about, let us tell them about it.
Be glad when the Swan is back in use again. It burnt badly last year.
Send us an email to 3cr@bbc.co.uk.
Just come here and feel the love.
The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sorry?
No, it's too upsetting.
You've come in all moved.
Yeah.
Do you
well, I'm just trying. I should just explain for the listeners. I'm just trying to put Iain back on the straight and narrow with his vegetarianism.
I've been a vegetarian for 25 years. The last week and this week I'm a meat eater, and then I'm going to decide what I'm happening. You found this hilarious that I've gone to eat meat. You constantly giggling at me like some schoolgirl, but now you're trying to make me a vegetarian again.
Well, I'm not sure I found it hilarious. I said I was a bit troubled by your decision.
Oh, but you said that as you were laughing.
Well. Yes, but to be honest,
yes.
I've got a video. Somebody sent me Nina, regular listener.
Hello, Nina.
Nina. She sent me a little video yesterday showing these 2 cows waiting in the little pen to go in for their slaughter.
Oh dear!
And every time they heard the bolt going in for the previous cows, they kind of back away and they're absolutely terrified.
You mimed a cow earlier on.
They know what's going to happen to them, and it's very upsetting. And I was going to do a rib of beef week after next, and do you know what? I'm having second thoughts.
Yeah, you'll still have that rib of beef. And they don't know what's going to happen to them. They don't.
Well, they do. They're frightened.
Well, they're frightened of the noise. They don't know they're going to get a bolt through their heads that's going to end their lives.
No, they don't, because they're cows. Yeah. Cows are quite stupid.
Exactly.
But even
so delicious.
So they do look. Oh, it's upsetting.
Oh, it's horrible. And this is.
I think you should watch it, and it'll put you back on the straight and narrow.
Do you know what I was thinking the other day? If I do go back to eating meat, I want to investigate this properly. Do I say this on the radio? I have considered the possibility of going to an abattoir to have a look.
What? You want to see this?
I feel that if I'm going to eat meat, I should do it responsibly, and I should be if I'm making the decision to go back to being a meat eater, I need to do it responsibly, and I need to look at the whole... I need to have all the evidence and the facts. So it's an idea I'm considering. I don't know, yeah.
You'll find it very upsetting.
I probably would.
I'm not going to do it. I have been asked several times to go to an abattoir, and I've said I can't do it.
I probably would find it very, very upsetting, and if I found it upsetting enough, then I would go back to being a vegetarian. That's...
Yeah, but it might... Because you're a delicate soul, it might affect you.
Yep. A delicate soul, thank you so much.
Yeah, well, you are. I mean, I wouldn't like to think that it would, affect you mentally.
Well, I'm not going to have a breakdown because of it.
You might do. You don't know that.
I might have a little cry. I might cry.
You might drive to Dundee in your bare feet.
That's possible.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, it could. Where's Iain? Oh, he's gone bonkers. He went to an abattoir. Oh, dear. We'll see him in 6 months.
He's eaten 2 million Toblerone and driven to Dundee in his bare feet.
Now, what have you got on your show this morning?
Oh, you're going to like this.
Oh, go on.
Have you heard about this mother who's launched a campaign to promote breastfeeding after she was called a tramp on Facebook?
Oh.
You seen this? Emily Slough found...
Emily Slough?
Yes.
What an unfortunate name.
She was known to be rude. She's already been called a tramp.
But her surname's Slough, is in the town that I grew up in.
Yes.
It's a dump. It is a dump.
This poor woman, she can't win. First she gets called a tramp, now you're saying her surname sounds like a dump.
But she might have a point, so let's listen to what she has to say.
Emily Slough found a picture of herself online that another Facebook user had taken, showing her sat on the step of a shop, surrounded by plastic bags, with her baby mid-feed. Her campaign has now attracted 8,000 likes and more than 1,000 people are expected to attend a mass breastfeeding event this weekend, including one in Milton Keynes.
Excellent.
Well, I'm going to be speaking to Emily after 9 o'clock. I won't tell her what you said about her surname.
Probably best not to, actually.
No, but I'll be talking to her after 9 o'clock, and I want to know, would you rather mums didn't breastfeed in public? 08459 455 555. The sight of a woman sitting there breastfeeding in a public place, does she sound like a tramp to you?
No, she sounds like a very responsible, loving mother.
Nourishing her baby.
There are some people who... I've got not a problem with mothers breastfeeding at all. I think what's more natural than feeding your baby? And yet you'll still get people... My wife had this. Oh, could you not go and do that in the toilet? No, you go and have your lunch in the toilet.
Yeah, but my old neighbour got her boob out in Zzz's, and people didn't like it. And she said to me, oh, they were complaining. And I said, well, I mean, did you have to do it right in the middle of Zzz's?
What's Zzz's?
It's a well-known pizza establishment.
Oh, is it? The thing is, as well, there are delicate ways of doing it. I've never heard of Zzz's. It sounds nice. There are delicate ways of doing it. You can get special tops so you can't see the boobies out. The worst thing is which I have done, it's only bad for me, you kind of go up to a woman and you start talking to her and you realise that she's...
What, you're talking to her while she's breastfeeding?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then you realise that she's got her boobs out.
A friend of mine bent down to kiss the baby once and didn't realise that the...
Whoa! Hey! That ain't no baby. That's a big baby.
Can I just say, when I see a woman breastfeeding, I think, that is amazing. I could never do it without making a right show of myself. I even bought one of those special poncho things so that I could try to do it subtly. Baby won't have that.
No.
Did you look like a tramp when you were breastfeeding?
I looked like a tent with someone having a fight in it.
Did you really?
I think that's a good one. You'll
let's
get
see
lots
if
of
it
good
kicks
calls
off.
on that.
Yes, at 9. Would you rather mums didn't breastfeed in public? 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, that'll be a good one today. I'll be listening to that. A massive illuminated sign warning motorists not to use the Luton to Dunstable busway has been put up by the Borough Council. £600 a week. Well, Sophie has been there. Morning, Sophie.
Good morning.
Sophie, you've been speaking to people about this. What have they got to say?
My goodness me. They've been saying that they think the sign is a complete waste of money. But can I just say, Iain, standing on the side of the busway now, underneath the very sign that you talk about, People have started using the busway to go around.
What? Someone's going the busway today?
3 cyclists I've watched go round, and I think the main issue is because on the pavement that they can't usually cycle on, there's a restriction barrier on the football path that's too small for cyclists to fit through.
Sophie, stay there a second. I may come back to you in a second. I want to go to Dave Taylor, Luton Borough Council's portfolio holder for the environment. Dave, it's not working, mate.
Good morning.
You're wasting your money.
What isn't working?
The sign isn't working.
Yeah, it's not on.
How's it costing us £600 a week?
It should be on. It should be working.
Yeah, but there are cyclists riding up the busway today. Sophie's seen 3 of them.
No, they shouldn't be riding up the busway.
No, I know they shouldn't be riding up the busway, Dave. They are. The sign is on, and people are still riding up the busway. It's a waste of £600 a week.
Yeah, I mean, it's not cyclists that are the problem. It's cars on the busway that are the problem.
Oh, so cyclists are allowed to ride up there?
No, not at all. There's a dedicated cycle lane on the left-hand side.
They can't fit through the little gateway?
Yeah, we've spoke to a lot of cyclists and the cycling organisations. That's to prevent motorcycles using it.
Ah, right. So that's...
Get off, just push their bike underneath, get round the other side and get back on and
But that's encouraging people to use the cyclists to go on the busway. Sophie's seen 3 of them today.
No, it isn't.
Well, Sophie's seen 3 of them today, Dave.
Yeah? What, on the busway? Cycling on the busway?
Let me just ask her. Sophie?
Yes, on the busway, Dave. They're on the busway.
In the concrete guide?
On the concrete guide. And actually worse than that, they're going towards the traffic. So they can't get through the barrier. I've watched 3 different cyclists not dismounting, but actually just going round it because they couldn't fit through. And the other 2 that could fit through was quite embarrassing, actually. They got stuck.
Dave?
Yeah.
You're wasting your money.
Yeah. Well, the problem is with cars on the busway.
So you're okay with cyclists going on there then?
No, I didn't. I was not aware, and I don't think the council are aware, that there is a problem of cyclists cycling on the guideways.
Okay, well, I'm glad that Sophie and I have brought that to your attention. You can waste a few quid trying to sort that out now.
Yeah.
£600 a week seems a lot of money for a sign.
It is. It is a lot of money, and I think we ought to think about buying it as well. I think we're going to get a quote to purchase it, and then hopefully get some of our money back for rental.
Are you renting it?
We're renting it, yeah, £600 a week.
Mate, what on earth is going on? Why don't you just get a student and give them £350 a week to stand there with a flag and a megaphone?
Yeah, but would that solve the problem?
Yes, it would. It'd be better than a
blooming up the busway.
Yeah, it'd be better than a blooming sign because a student could stand in the way every time a car comes.
Yeah, no. That's not a safe way of doing it. I mean, the sign is there to warn people that it is the busway. It flashes and it's on at night because it has been a particular problem. We've had 35 cars since the busway opened accessing the busway, despite the signage on the road, the sign saying car traps, buses only. People are still driving up there.
Why do you need a big illuminated sign that you rent for £600 a week? Why don't you just get, I don't know, like a normal sign?
So the idiots who drive up there can actually, or tend to drive up there, can see it. It's huge and it flashes. Because people say, when we've asked them, oh, we didn't see any signs, right? So that's what you've got to do.
How much is it going to cost to buy this sign?
We don't know yet. We're just going to get a quote. And we could use it in other areas, when there's the carnival fair and things like that.
Dave, we've just spoken about the closing down the bus service, the dialer bus service for people. Dialer ride, because there's no money. And you're spending £600 a week on renting a sign, and you're thinking about buying it. You need to get your priorities straight, surely.
No, we can use it. We can use it elsewhere as well. There's it's only a possibility of buying it. But this is money that we shouldn't be spending.
No, exactly. So why are you spending it?
Because we're having to accommodate idiots. Because they say they cut the signage down because they can't see where they're going. It's fairly obvious when you're coming down that it's a busway. So there has to be an illuminated sign flashing to tell people that they can't go down there.
Do you reckon it's going to work? Because people use it. People go down there because they think it's a shortcut and also because their sat-nav tells them to. Do you think that sign's really going to work?
The sat-nav doesn't tell them to go down there.
It does. We sent our reporter Tony Fisher out there, and his sat-nav told him to go right.
It's telling me to turn right.
That happened.
No, that's not true.
Yes.
True.
No,
I think you covered this, didn't it?
It's true.
You covered this before.
Yeah, Dave, it's true. Our reporter Tony Fisher went there, and the sat-nav told him to turn right and go down there.
We wouldn't be on any sat-nav database because it was a former railway line anyway.
Dave, it is... listen, you can deny what you want. We'll send Tony Fisher back down there. He is one of the most respected reporters we have here. It's not saying much.
Yeah.
The sat-nav told him to go down there.
Yeah. If the sat-nav told him to go off the end of a cliff, would he do that?
No, because he is a sensible man, but other people follow their sat-navs.
Yes, Dave is a sensible man. He realises it's the busway, but it doesn't. It doesn't. I think we've covered this before. I mean, there is a problem at the other end, the unguided piece, where we're going to put the bollards in when they're up and running. That will stop people accessing that. I mean, that's understandable because that was Station Road, and it was a former access to the station.
Dave, I bet you, right, a £5 to a charity of your choice.
Yep.
We get a car going up the busway in the next 4 weeks. What do you reckon?
The chances are probably, because since we've had the flashing sign, since we've had the flashing sign, we've still had 2 cars go up there.
So it is a waste of money then. So get rid of the sign and come up with something different.
Why don't you ask some of the drivers that drive up there?
Because you're in charge of the road. We'll ask that. I'll go and ask all the drivers. But if you've had 2 cars go up there and you're spending £600 a week, it's a waste of money.
Ian, you're right. It's a waste of money. It's money we shouldn't be spending.
Well, then get rid of it because it's not working.
Yeah. That's right.
But Dave, it's not working. You've just told me it's not working. So save yourself £600 a week. Don't even think about buying that sign and come up with a different way to stop people driving there.
Yeah. Well, can I ask you then, what would you do to prevent cars driving on the busway?
I would put a barrier there.
Yeah?
Yeah. The barrier that opens when a bus comes and doesn't open when a car comes.
Yeah? They're the same barriers that they have at level crossings that people still drive through. And flashing lights.
You've got the flashing lights, Dave, and it's not working. My suggestion is 10 times better than yours. The bollards that go down when a bus comes, which you're going to install at the other end, put them at that end.
Yeah, that's right. But, I mean...
Well, then do it. I know it's right.
What can we do?
You can do what I've just said. Put bollards that go down when a bus comes and go up when there's not a bus.
And when they don't work, then what do we do?
But you're going to put the bollards at the other end, so you're admitting that they're not going to work.
No. Where people are accessing the busway is from the station end. Ian, I think we're going round in circles.
Dave, I think we are, mate. I really do.
Very angry.
Oh, there we go. Yes. How did my thoughts escape onto the air?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, the M25 queues clockwise from 24 round towards 26. It's all because of an accident earlier just before 26 has gone, but delays remain, unfortunately. As a result, the A10 really slow southbound, passing Cheshunt towards the M25. Local routes, including Marsh Hill, very busy on the speed sensors, and it's also very busy heading down from Potters Bar towards Stag Hill, or on Stag Hill, towards Christchurch Coxfosters, I think, with drivers avoiding the M25. East Coast reporting delays via Potters Bar. There are speed restrictions at Potters Bar, so East Coast and First Capital Connects are running with 15-minute delays. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
With the headlines, I'm Simon Oxley. Bedfordshire's Chief Constable says the investigation into an alleged assault by 2 officers on a vulnerable man in Luton will be thorough and impartial. Colette Paul says the case of Farouk Ali will be investigated by Leicestershire Constabulary to ensure a transparent investigation by a team unconnected to Bedfordshire Police. Police in Malaysia say they've identified one of the men who travelled on the missing plane with a stolen passport. He's a 19-year-old Iranian not thought to have any terrorist links. And the MP for Aylesbury says he'll quiz the government about a company from the town who've criticised attitudes to small businesses.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Conference leaders Luton go to second place Cambridge tonight as they close in on automatic promotion. The Hatters are 15 points clear. Cambridge manager Richard Money has conceded Luton will win the title. Here's Luton boss John Still.
Sometimes people say things, I think, to, maybe get a reaction from somebody else. And I don't react to it. This is my team. People can say what they want, think what they want, put things out in the media that they want, and it would never bother me or worry me.
Watford resumed Championship action at Doncaster with Fernando Forestieri and Lewis McGugan set to return to the squad. The Hornets are 7 points from the playoffs with a game in hand. In League One, Dean Bowditch could start for the Milton Keynes Dons at bottom club Notts County after signing a new one-year contract. Stevenage host manager Graham Westley's former club Preston and will be without midfielder John Mousinho, who's on loan from the visitors. And in League Two, Wickham will be without the injured Paris Cowan Hall and the suspended Josh Scowen for tonight's visit of Plymouth. And there's full commentary on Luton, Watford, MK Dons and Stevenage on tonight's Three Counties Sport from 7. In the Champions League, Arsenal go to Bayern Munich, trailing 2-0 from the first leg. And in racing, the Cheltenham Festival starts today with the feature race, the Champion Hurdle. More from Luke Harvey.
It's a big race everyone's concentrating on. Probably one of the races of the festival. It's the Champion Hurdle at 3:20. Hurricane Fly going for that third historic win in the race. He's an absolute legend of the sport. You've got the young pretenders like My 10 to Yours. We've got Connor, the new one who's trained by Nigel Twiston Davis, just 4 or 5 miles from the course. It's just absolutely superb.
BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 9.
It's telling me to turn right.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Deary me. Dave Taylor. That'll be in the podcast. Now, if you were listening last week, you'll have heard allegations that 2 Luton police officers assaulted a man called Farouk Ali, who has a very severe form of autism. He has the mental age of a 5-year-old. Farouk's brother told us his condition means that he likes routine, and one of those routines is watching the bin collection every week. So when the police told him to move along and then tried to compel him to do so, things got physical. There are allegations of shoving, of punching, of all kinds of things. Caused a huge amount of tension in the area where he lives, which is why a public meeting was held last week. Now, in an open letter on the Bedfordshire Police website, the Chief Constable, Colette Paul, says she wants to reassure people that a thorough investigation is underway. Let's speak to her now. Morning, Colette.
Good morning, Ian.
Colette, you didn't make it to last week's meeting, and lots of people felt cheated by that. Why didn't you go?
Yeah, I was actually very keen, Ian, to be at the meeting and did make attempts to rearrange my diary and couldn't do that. But what I did do was make sure that the force was incredibly well represented. I felt that Assistant Chief Constable Trippett, who's actually in charge of all operational policing for my force, also Chief Superintendent Jim Saunders, who's the head of local policing, and also Superintendent David Boyle, who was actually gold and in charge of the operation, were the right people to go at that time.
But why couldn't you go, Colette?
Well, I can tell you, but it is a personal appointment that I've got. I was actually at the doctor's, at the GP's.
OK. And that couldn't have been shifted? Because it was in the evening and people were very upset that you weren't there.
Yeah, at that time it couldn't, but obviously I actually felt I did send the right people to the meeting.
Well, I hope everything...
People were upset. Sorry, Ian, can I just say people were upset that I weren't there, but I'd already contacted the family and said that I would meet them personally, and they are going to meet me tomorrow. OK, well, I hope your health is fine and dandy. You didn't... Oh, thank you.
No, I hope it's nothing serious. You didn't send your deputy, though, either, did you? You did send Assistant Chief Constable Nigel Trippett.
My Assistant Chief... There's only 3 of us. My deputy came back on that day. I actually felt that Assistant Chief Constable Nigel Trippett was the right person because he had the most knowledge of the incident and was actually in overall charge of it. I felt he was the right person.
How does it work, Colette? When did you first become aware of the allegations against the 2 officers?
Yeah, I was actually away for the weekend, and the first time I became aware of the allegation was Tuesday morning when it was declared a critical incident, and that was when I was informed.
And what action did you take when you knew?
Oh, absolutely immediately. Obviously, the first step, I checked that all the evidence was secured, and it had been by our Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire and Cambridge Professional Standards Department. I also ensured that the matter had been referred to the Police Complaints Commission, which it had. And what they obviously said was they were going to supervise the investigation, and that meant that they were going to set out the terms of reference for it, but obviously we would be carrying out that investigation. Subsequently, as you probably know from my letter, I've changed that decision, and I actually went to Leicestershire Constabulary, obviously in consultation with the Independent Police Complaints Commission, and I've asked them to conduct it so that it was totally independent of Bedfordshire Police.
What evidence is there? Because when we spoke about this last week, the 2 officers hadn't been interviewed about this. They'd given over the notes in their notebook, but they hadn't been interviewed. And also none of the eyewitness statements had been collected.
The investigation is ongoing, and obviously a number of witnesses have been seen. But as I've just said, Ian, I have handed that now over to Leicestershire Constabulary, and they will be dealing with the investigation. But a number of witnesses have been spoken to, and then once all the evidence is gathered, that's the time that they actually speak to the police officers. That would be normal.
See, that seems odd to me, because if I had been accused of punching someone, then I would be being questioned by the police immediately, wouldn't I? To leave it 2, 3, 4 weeks seems a little odd.
Yeah, Ian, it's not. It depends on the circumstances. Obviously, if it's a person outside of the police force, you've got to arrest them immediately to get the evidence. That's not the same case with police officers.
Why not? It seems unfair.
No, not at all. It's just a different process with police officers. We gathered all the evidence from the police officers at that time so that the evidence couldn't be changed in any way. It was gathered at the time immediately. In fact, one of the officers had gone home and was brought back in to make sure that we gathered the evidence from them.
But they have had several weeks, if they were of a disposition to do so, to talk to each other and shore up some facts, the suspicious might say.
Can I just say the evidence was seized at the time, so their notes, so that would be very difficult, actually, Ian. You know, the evidence was seized at the time. Obviously, I can't go into the investigation,
No,
Ian.
of course not.
It's an ongoing investigation.
But I just know it was a point...
be reassured it was taken at the time.
No, I know the evidence was. It's just a point that a lot of people picked up on last week, that they hadn't been questioned yet, and some people thought that seemed a little bit unfair. Yeah. In writing this open...
Ian, just say it is normal procedure that you would normally gather all of the evidence, because obviously otherwise, to make sure that you've got all the evidence there so you can question the officers about what's happened. So you would gather the evidence from all the witnesses that saw it, and then you would question the officers.
OK. It may be normal procedure. That doesn't necessarily mean it's fair, does it?
Well, I think it probably is fair.
I'm sure you do.
It's our procedure.
In writing this open letter, Colette, what are you trying to achieve?
What I'm trying to achieve there, Ian, is to actually let people know within the bounds of the investigation, because obviously I can't go beyond those bounds, to let people know as much as I possibly can about what's happened. So it's about reassuring them that we are taking it incredibly seriously, that I have gone now to an independent force to actually look at what we've done, and to make sure that if there are lessons to be learned, that we do learn those, Ian. So really, I wanted the people to hear it from me as the leader of Bedfordshire Police, about what we've done and what action that we've taken, and that we do take this incredibly seriously. I also obviously wanted to reassure the family too, and I'll be doing that by obviously meeting them personally tomorrow.
Well, Farouk's sister last week told us that she hadn't been asked for a statement despite witnessing what happened to her brother. Again, that seems to not quite be right.
I'm sure she will be. Obviously I don't know the full terms of the investigation. Even I don't get reported back on that. The investigation will take place. But I'm sure if she's a witness that the investigation team will be speaking to her.
Do we have a timeline for this investigation, Colette?
I'm looking to try and get it obviously completed as soon as I possibly can. I think that's incredibly important. But obviously they've got a number of witnesses to see and then the officers to interview. But I'm really, really pushing to make it to be conducted as expeditiously and quickly as possible, to be frank.
Colette, now, I don't want to spring anything on you, but we've just had Luckman in Luton has called in. He's a friend of the family.
Yes, I know of Luckman.
Would you mind if I put him on, or would you rather not, to speak to you?
No, I don't mind. I've had conversations with Luckman. I've obviously said to Luckman in the past that we would make direct contact with the family, so I'd prefer to speak to the family personally. But, if he's got something to say...
Let me just hear what his point is, and I'm sorry to spring this on you. He's just got... Luckman,
no problem.
You're through to Colette Paul. What would you like to say?
Hi, Ian. Thank you for taking my call. Obviously, I am a concerned member of the public. I know I'm a close friend of the family. But obviously, this is not the first incident in Luton. Obviously, another incident took place in November, you and I know. We have lost faith in you, Colette. We have lost faith in not just yourself, in Ollie Martin as well. Isn't it time to kind of step down and put someone in place where we're going to have some trust and really get this investigation moving? Because obviously, we've heard a lot of things, obviously, from that meeting last week, Tuesday, and we were quite disappointed, obviously.
But look, man, if I may step in, it does sound like, speaking to Colette, it does sound like things are moving now. The investigation has been handed to a different police force, so that it's independent. Do you not feel that things have moved on considerably since last week?
A little. And one thing I want to point out is I think obviously it was alleged that there was some sort of burglary taking place, if I'm right. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then when I was listening to Anglia, the coverage by Lauren Hall, she said a statement was given to them by the police, which she obviously commented on, or one of the reporters was, they were concerned for his welfare.
Okay.
So from burglary to concern for his welfare is quite different.
Okay. Well, look, when you're talking about things I don't know about. I've not seen that report. But Colette, very, very quickly, what would your response be?
Lookman, can I just say I wouldn't step down, no. And the reason for that is I do not walk away from things that are very, very difficult. As a leader of Bedfordshire Police, we deal with things day in and day out, and I want to make sure that we get to the bottom of this. So I absolutely would not step down. I'm very keen, that we do get to the bottom of all of this. And as the leader of Bedfordshire, I don't shy away from difficult issues. In terms of the other issues, I can't comment on those, Lookman, because obviously it's part of the investigation, and we will find out why they did what they did during that investigation. So I hope that's helpful, but I can't go beyond the confines of that because I honestly don't know what it is, because I've certainly not spoken to the police officers, and they will be spoken to in terms of the investigation.
Colette, finally, there's been a lot of criticism of the way that Ollie Martins has handled this. Do you think he's handled it well?
That's a really difficult question to ask me. Ollie Martins is there to hold me to account, Ian, about what I've done. I don't hold him to account.
Do you think he should step down?
No, I don't.
Colette, I really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for explaining what's going on.
Okay, then.
Thank you very much indeed. There we go. And thank you, Lookman. There we go. That's Colette Paul. Well, what do you think? 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. She's, of course, the Chief Constable, and I thought she put her point across very well. It felt like... The thing I get when I talk to Colette, the couple of times I've spoken to her, is it does feel like she is answering as much as she can answer. And you don't always get that with a lot of other people.
Yeah. Sometimes you feel like there is a script being stuck to.
Yes. Colette, thank you very much for coming on.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, delay still on the clockwise M25 from junction 23 round towards 25. It's because of an accident earlier nearer to 26. That's cleared, but delays remain. The A10 as a result, really slow still southbound. We can see on the speed sensors passing Cheshunt down towards the M25. The 414 at London Coney, well, eastbound passing St Albans is particularly heavy towards Hatfield on the sensors. Oh, by the way, anti-clockwise M25 delays in patches still from 21A down towards 16. A1M's heavy southbound at 7. Usual congestion there at the Stevenage exit. To the trains and East Coast, in fact all trains via Potters Bar, 15-minute delays because of speed restrictions, and Chiltern say still 15-minute delays via Princess Risborough as a train broke down earlier on this morning. I'm James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
James, thank you very much indeed. 8:47, it's Tuesday the 11th of March. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Bedfordshire's Chief Constable says the investigation into an alleged assault by 2 officers on a vulnerable man in Luton will be thorough and impartial. Colette Paul says the case of Farouk Ali will be investigated by Leicestershire Constabulary, and she'll meet with Mr Ali's family tomorrow. A Buckinghamshire firm is accusing the government of only being interested in big business after being forced to pull out of a bid to provide tags for criminals. The Aylesbury company Buddy withdrew, citing costs and bureaucracy after spending £2 million. And in sport, conference leaders Luton go to second-placed Cambridge tonight as they close in on automatic promotion. Coming up, oh really? More phone calls on geocaching. Let's get the weather with Kate.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. Well, it's a rather cloudy start to the day, and this cloud is fairly stubborn as well. It's not going too far very quickly. The best we can hope for, it should start to thin and break as we head later on this afternoon, but the northeasterly breeze means things are feeling rather chilly. We're looking at a maximum later on this afternoon of around 10 Celsius. Overnight tonight, if you've got any cloud left, it is going to disappear. That's going to allow the temperature to fall and also mist and fog patches to develop. Minimum temperature down to 1 Celsius. So a murky start to Wednesday. Eventually the mist and fog clears and we'll get pleasantly warm sunshine and the wind a little lighter too. Maximum temperature 13 Celsius for Wednesday. That's 55 degrees in Fahrenheit. And that's your forecast.
Every weekday morning from 9.
Good morning, welcome to the JVS show.
Your local stories.
Have you had to rebuild your life after being a victim of crime? Do you think it's inhumane to keep people in prison for life? Do you think that immigration needs to stop?
Your local life.
Why do 70% of this country feel immigration is wrong?
We've actually got an open doors policy.
I am just so angry listening to some of them people.
What the government will do, they'll start introducing American-type sentencing, like 200 years in prison.
The JVS show.
British people are not xenophobic.
Weekday mornings from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Who's this? This is a weird message to tweet. From Ray and Ma. Iain Lee really is one of my most favourite people.
Oh.
Sorry? That's not the surprising bit. No, but... I wish he was my neighbour, my brother, my friend's father, my PA.
Your friend's father? Is this a young person?
I suddenly feel really old.
But then you could be his PA.
Let's have a look at Ray and Ma. I don't want to be her friend's father. Oh, thank you, Rayanne. That's very kind of you to say.
Oh, I thought it was Ray and Ma. I wondered who Ma was in this
It's
scenario.
Rayanne.
All right.
Rayanne Ma. Thank you for that, Rayanne.
You can have him if you want.
No, I don't think anyone's ever said I wish he was my friend's father.
Or my
before.
PA. It's a very different relationship, isn't it?
I'd be a rubbish PA. You phone him. I don't want to make the phone call.
Oh, I feel weird about it.
Oh, I don't want to make the phone call.
Hi, man. Yeah, it's Rianne's PA, man.
Oh, wish he was my friend's dad. I feel so old.
You'd be taxiing the girls round.
So old. Do you wish I was your friend's dad, Kelly?
Why friend's dad and not her own dad?
Well, I mean, that'd be ridiculous,
or why
wouldn't it?
not uncle?
She says, I wish he was my neighbour, brother, friend's father, or PA. Those are really weird, different things to pick.
Yeah, basically, she doesn't want you to be too close to her.
No.
But friend's dad is far away enough.
I kind of feel that way about Michael Palin, about the friend's father thing.
I used to want...
I wouldn't want him as my PA as a result of that.
I used to want Kenneth Williams to be my dad when I was young. Little did I know.
Really?
Yeah, when I was about 8, I remember I wanted him to be my dad and Barbara Windsor to be my mum.
Maybe PA stands for something different.
Maybe it does. Maybe it does. Thank you, Rayanne. I take that as a great compliment. And I'm loving the snakeskin suit. Now, Adam's in Bedford. Morning, Adam.
Good morning, sir.
Geocaching.
Fantastic.
Really?
Seriously.
Tell me about it. My friend Scott wants me to go, and I can't think of anything duller.
Oh, it's brilliant. We'll meet up once a month, go and eat some cake and cups of tea and beer, and then we go out and we go and find geocaches in the great British countryside. There's nothing better.
But what is in it, though? It's not like rubies, is it?
No, it varies from tiny little magnetic caches up to massive ammo boxes with treasure inside.
But what kind... Now, you say treasure, and you make that noise, but what kind of treasure, Adam?
Geocaching treasure.
But what does that mean?
It's called swag. We take stuff, we put it in there, other people take stuff out, take it to other caches. We also have trackables that we put in so we can track where they go in the caches. One of mine is in South Africa at the moment. How cool is that?
But what's in South Africa?
Well, they're called travel bugs.
Yeah.
They've got their own specific number.
Oh, OK, and it goes... So someone picks it up and takes it somewhere else?
Yes, and then they drop it in that one, then someone else picks it up, takes it. There's actually one that's gone up to the International Space Station. I think that's pretty cool myself.
Really?
Seriously.
And they're all everywhere, these geocaches, aren't they? Scott sent me Scott sent me about a dozen maps last night.
They're worldwide, absolutely worldwide. But the trouble is, if you get a little bit nerdy about it, every time you go on a journey, you check the map, is there any caches? I went on a 10-year wedding anniversary to Poland. First thing I went and found a geocache.
Oh, so you're addicted to it a little bit?
It can get a little bit geeky, but it is fantastic. It is a really good hobby to have.
Adam, thank you very much. I might have a cheeky look into it. Kath, do you fancy coming geocaching with me and Scott? Kels?
I'm busy. When are you going?
Kels, you fancy it?
We could do it after we go potholing.
What's going on with the potholing?
We're not going potholing.
Why?
Because I don't like crannies.
I like nooks. Do you like a nook?
No.
I'd love a good nook.
I don't like the idea of having my face against cold, hard stone. Or dripping caverns.
Kelly's tried to speak 5 times. She keeps drawing breath, ready to speak, and then you go on for another sentence, Catherine.
I'm actually just yawning.
Oh, sorry.
Just a yawn.
Nothing to say?
No, just...
OK. David's in Bedford. Morning, David.
Morning, Ian.
You got an idea for the busway that could save us £600 a week?
Yeah.
Go on.
It is. So in Cambridge, near the bus station there, on the road, the Wesley Road that way, is a sensor that only buses can go through.
That wouldn't work. That wouldn't work, according to Dave Taylor.
Why not?
I don't know. He claims it wouldn't work.
It would if only buses can go through and the barriers can, and only sensors... It's like a gate.
Yeah.
It would work.
Dave Taylor says it wouldn't work.
It's because he hasn't got a clue on how to look at funding.
Hang on a second. Sean.
Hello.
What do you reckon? You've got an idea for the busway.
I'm on the same vein as Dave there. I live near to Cambridge, and like he says, the buses have a little sensor fitted to the front of them, which allows a rising bollard to lower.
Oh.
Once that buses pass over the rising bollard, obviously it rises back up. And car drivers have been caught where it punches through their floor, but they soon learn not to go over the rising bollard.
Dave Taylor says it won't work, Sean.
He's talking poppycock, and he needs to go to Cambridge to see it working in Cambridge, because obviously it allows buses to go into the centre of Cambridge, but no cars.
David, Sean, stay there. Andrew, you don't think that the rising bollards would work?
I could prove it to you. Come to Hatfield and go down College Lane in Hatfield.
Yeah.
That leads to the university.
Yeah.
And they decided they'd block it off so that only buses could go through and put in a rising bollard.
Beautiful. What went wrong?
The rising bollard's always broken down.
Oh.
So people go through anyway.
Oh.
So now they've put up one of those great big flashing signs that cost £600 a week.
I don't know why this is making me laugh so much. It's because it's so ridiculous. Sean, David, Andrew says it wouldn't work. Sean, you go first.
It might not work. It might not work in Hatfield, but it certainly works in Cambridge. So I'm sticking with the Cambridge system.
David, it won't work.
It would work long term, and especially if they'd done 4 of them across and they were all individually set.
Gentlemen, I don't know why I'm fighting. David, Sean, Andrew, thank you. I think it's a sensible suggestion.
The only other option is swinging axes.
What, like in Mario or something?
Like Nightmare. Do you remember? Sidestep to the left.
Where am I? You're in a room, there's a table.
With a bucket on your head.
There's some cheese on the table, and there's an elf. Hello, I'm an elf! I used to love Nightmare.
My mum thinks I'm an actor. I used to love that too. And then they used to freeze it at the end.
Yeah.
We've run out of time.
What was his name, the fellow that did it?
Dunno.
Maguire, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. What was his name?
He was an actor?
Flatchet. No, the character he played. Flatchet. He had a beard.
There's a new one called Raven. It's not him, is it?
No. We're very close to doing old 70s TV shows.
Set to as the 80s, it's fine.
Yeah. Vanguard, Ringard, Ringo.
Ragnar?
I
don't know. I'm just making it up.
OK, well, don't make it up, mate. For goodness sakes. I don't know why I'm finding this whole busway so funny. Steve has emailed in. Your interview with Dave Taylor was the funniest thing I've heard in ages. Can you get him on for a daily spot on 3CR?
Traygard,
there we go. We got there in the end. No, we will not be getting Dave Taylor on for the... Dave Taylor was in a sparky mood this morning, wasn't he? I don't know what was going on. Accusing Tony Fisher of lying? No one accuses Tony Fisher of lying and lives.
We all heard the sat-nav tell him to turn right.
It told him to turn right several times. Although sometimes, if I remember correctly, it did tell him to turn left.
It's telling me to turn right. It's telling me to turn right.
Turn left.
Yeah, you go. So maybe Tony Fisher is lying.
Sorry, Dave.
It turns out you had a point. Oh, it's made me chuckle more than it should have done. Thank you very much. Lots of phone calls this morning. That's better. I prefer it when we get lots of phone calls. Just got time to tell you, dear listener, there is a weekly podcast. We've had, how many downloads? We've had over like 130,000 or something, wasn't it?
10.
Sorry?
Was it just 10?
We've had over 10. It's close to 150,000 downloads we've had now of the podcast.
It's a lot. It's a very popular one.
Did Tony Fisher tell you that?
He was probably making up. So thank you for that. If you want to download it, it's a weekly one. Every week. You can get it by going to iTunes and typing in Iain Lee, BBC, IAIN-LEE, BBC, or by going to the BBC Three Counties website and clicking on podcasts. We do a new one every week. It's the best bits of the week. Some funny bits, some silly bits, some quite sad bits. And then we record, don't tell the bosses, we record bonus stuff that doesn't get broadcast. Imagine that. Right, let's get the latest travel news now.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thanks, Ian. Still queues on the clockwise M25 from junction 23 round to 25 Enfield. It's mainly because of an accident earlier out to 26. In fact, 25 to 26 still quite heavy on the sensors. Southbound A10 passing Chedens is slow towards the M25. The M1's looking good. No problems really on the A1M now. And as for trains, well, delays on the East Coast main line because of speed restrictions at Potters Bar. 15-minute delays possible. And still delays possible on Chiltern train through Princess Risborough as a train broke down earlier. James Worley, BBC Three Counties Radio.
James, excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed. Wow, we did it. We got to the end. Looks like we made it once again. Thank you, everyone who called in. I love it when you call in. Makes my job easier, and it made me laugh a lot today. JVS is up next. Until tomorrow at 6 from me. Ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Tuesday. It's 9 o'clock. And on today's Big Phone-In, would you rather mums didn't breastfeed in public? A mother has launched a campaign to